Hi friends, my name is Maruti and I'm the co-founder of Cracku. In this video, I'll be explaining the solutions for Quant Section of CAT 2024. We are covering all the three slots. Slot 1 is followed by slot 2 is followed by slot 3. Every slot has 22 questions. The question will be initially shown followed by my video explanation. If you are having struggle with any of the questions or any of the explanations, feel free to pause the video and comment below the video. I look at all the comments and I'll try to respond to them to the best of my ability. If you find this video useful, please do share it with your friends. And if you have any doubts with respect to your CAT preparation, you can let us know in the comments. I will try to help you to the best of my abilities. In this question, we are told that there are two sets, set A and set B. There is a function f which goes from A to B such that every element from B has at least one element from A. We are required to calculate the total number of such functions. For example, a function can be something like f of 2 is equal to 1, f of 3 is equal to 8, f of 5 is equal to 1, f of 7 is equal to 27, f of 11 is equal to 1 and f of 13 is equal to 8. Essentially, for every element in A, when you are passing it through the function, you will get an element in B. That is how this function is defined. The point is, or the restriction over here is that every element of B should have at least one element in A such that f of A is equal to B. If this restriction was not there, suppose this restriction that every element in B should have at least one element in A, if that is suppose not there, then the answer would be very simple. We can say that f of 2 can be any one of 1, 8 or 7, so it can be selected in 3 ways. Similarly, f of 3 can be either 1, 8 and 27, that can be selected in 3 ways. Similarly, f of 5 can be selected in 3 ways and so on. And the total number of ways will be 3 to the power 6, which is equal to 729. But in these 729 variations, there will be some variations where either one of 1, 8 and 27 is not represented. For example, one will be where say f of 2 is equal to 1, f of 3 is equal to 1 and f of all of them is equal to 1. But that is not a valid representation in this particular question because for every element of B, there should be at least one element in A. That is, we should have some number, should be f of that number is equal to 1, some number f of that number is equal to 8 and some number where f of that number is equal to 27. That is basically the restriction. I am giving you all of this so that you understand what exactly is being asked. Now, if you are looking at how many ways in which you can actually do it. So, you have 6 elements in A and you have 3 elements in B. Now, you have to divide these 6 elements such that at least one element comes to every element in B. So, this 6 can be divided either as 4, 1 and 1 or it can be divided as 3, 2 and 1 or it can be divided as 2, 2 and 2. What do I mean by this? Suppose you are considering the last case, 2, 2 and 2. We are saying that there will be 2 elements in A such that f of that element is 1. There will be 2 elements in A such that f of that element is equal to 8. And there will be 2 elements in A such that f of that element is equal to 27. That is what we are being represented by this case of 2, 2 and 2. Overall, we have 6 elements in A. We are distributing them as 2, 2 and 2. In how many ways can we do this? The 2 elements for which f of that element is 1 can be selected in 6C 2 ways. Now you are left with 4 elements. 2 elements can be picked such that f of that element is equal to 8. They can be picked in 4C 2 ways. Then you are left with 2 elements. And those 2 elements will have f of that element to be 27. So the total number of ways this can be done is 6C2, which is 6 into 5 divided by 2, into 4C2, which is 4 into 3 divided by 2, into 2C2 is 1. 6 into 5 divided by 2 is 15. 4 into 3 divided by 2 is 6. This is equal to 90. Next, we will consider the case where 3 elements in B have the same element in A, 2 elements in B have the same element in A and 1 element is the same. Now, which element in B has 3 numbers from A can be selected in 3 ways. Once that is selected, which element in B has 2 elements in A can be selected in 2 ways. Once that is selected, the 3 elements which are attached to B from A can be selected in 6C 3 ways. Now we are left with 3 elements and out of those 3 elements, which 2 elements will be attached to this particular element can be selected in 3C 2 ways. That is, we are saying that the elements in B are 1, 8 and 27. which of these three elements from A can be selected in three ways? Suppose that element is say 8. Then we are saying that we will have 8 written 3 times. F of some number in A will be 8, 3 numbers in A. Those 3 numbers can be selected in 63 ways. Once that is done, we are left with 1 and 27. Which of these two will have 2 elements attached to them can be selected in 2 ways. Let us assume that that number is 27. Now out of the 3 numbers which are remaining in A, f of those 2 numbers will be equal to 27. That can be selected in 3C 2 ways. Once that is done, we are just left with 1 and there will be 1 element left in A, so that will be attached to B. This, if you are simplifying, is 3 into 2 into 6C3 is 20 into 3C2 is 3. This is equal to 360. The last case is that one of the 3 elements 1, 8 and 27 have 4 elements attached from A. So which element is it that has 4 elements attached to A can be selected in 3 ways. It can be either 1 or 8 or 27. Once that is selected, the remaining 2 will have only 1 element attached to them. Now the 4 elements from A can be selected in 6C 4 ways. You are left with 2 elements in A and you are left with 2 elements in B. The matching can be done in 2 ways. So now this will be equal to 3 into 15 into 2, which is equal to 90. So the total number will be 90 plus 360 plus 90, which is 540. For people who did not understand, this might seem like a tricky question. We have 3 elements in B. We have 1, 8 and 27. And we have 6 elements in A. The 6 elements are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 and 13. Now every element in B should have at least 1 element from A. And we have to essentially distribute these 6 elements. These 6 elements can be distributed across these 3 elements in either 4, 1, 1. That is 4 elements from A are attached to 1 element in B and the remaining 2 are attached singularly. This can be done like we discussed earlier in 90 ways. Or it can be 3, 2, 1. That is 3 elements in A are attached to 1 element in B. The remaining 2 elements are attached to 1 element in B and the one last element will be attached to the remaining element in B. This can be done in 360 ways. Or it can be that all the 6 elements, 2 of those 6 elements are attached to 1 element, the remaining 2 are attached to another element, the last 2 are attached to the third element. This can be done in 90 ways. Overall, the total number is 540, which is option D. In this question, we are told that 4 times x square plus y square plus z square is equal to A and 4 times x minus y minus z is equal to 3 plus A. We are asked to calculate the value of A. If you are looking at this kind of a question, there are 4 variables, x, y, z and A. There are 4 variables and only 2 equations. So clearly by normal way, we can't solve this equation. So there has to be some trick or something that is involved to actually get us to solve this. The first thing we'll do is we'll substitute the value of A in the second equation. So what we are given is 4 times x minus y minus z, which is equal to 3 plus A is 3 plus, this is the value of A, which is 4 times x square plus y square plus z square. Now this would imply that 3 plus 4 times x square minus x plus 4 times y square plus y plus 4 times z square plus z is equal to 0. So this would imply that x into x minus 1 plus y into y plus 1 plus z into z plus 1 plus 3 by 4 is equal to 0. Now you should realize that there is only one equation and there are 3 variables, x, y and z. Earlier we had 4 variables and 2 equations. We removed the value of A and we basically now have 3 variables, x, y and z and only one equation. How can we solve this? In this kind of a situation, you should realize that we can solve this by actually completing a perfect square. What do I mean by it? This is x square minus x. Now this is x square minus x. If you add 1 by 4 to it, this becomes x minus 1 by 2 whole square. Similarly, this is y square plus y. Y square plus y, if you add 1 by 4 to it, this becomes y plus 1 by 2 whole square. And this is z square plus z. Similarly, z square plus z, if you add 1 by 4 to it, is equal to z plus 1 by 2 whole square. If you add all of them, The left hand side is just x square minus x, which is this one, plus y square plus y, which is this one, plus z square plus z, which is this one, plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4 is basically 3 by 4. So essentially what we are given from this equation is x minus 1 by 2 whole square plus y plus 1 by 2 whole square plus z plus 1 by 2 whole square is equal to 0. The sum of three perfect squares is equal to 0. This would imply that each of the three numbers is equal to 0. So x has to be equal to 1 by 2, y has to be equal to minus 1 by 2, and z has to be equal to minus 1 by 2. So what is the value of 3 plus a? 3 plus a is 4 times x, which is 1 by 2, minus of y, which is plus 1 by 2, minus of z, which is again plus 1 by 2, is equal to 3 plus a. Or a plus 3 is equal to 6, or the value of a is equal to 3. So the answer for this question is option A. In this question, we are given two equations. The first equation is x square plus mx plus 9 is equal to 0. The second equation is x square plus 9x plus 17 is equal to 0. And we are also given another equation, which is x square plus m plus nx plus 35 is equal to 0. And they have one common negative root. Let us assume that the common negative root is a, which is less than 0. From the first equation, we are getting that a square plus ma plus 9 is equal to 0. From the second equation, we are getting that a square plus na plus 17 is equal to 0. We can add both of them. We are going to get 2a square plus m plus na plus 26 is equal to 0. The third equation says that a square plus m plus na plus 35 is equal to 0. We can subtract one from the other. We are going to get that a square is equal to 9. So either a is 3 or a is minus 3. But we know that a is negative. This would imply that a has to be minus 3. And from this equation, we are going to get that 9 minus 3m plus 9 is equal to 0, or the value of m is equal to 6. From this equation, we are going to get that 9 minus 3n plus 17 is equal to 0, or the value of 3n is equal to 26. We are required to calculate 2m plus 3n. 3n is 26. 2m will be 6 into 2, which is 12. So this will be 38. So the answer for this question is 38. In this question, we are told that there is an arithmetic progression x1, x2, dot, dot, dot till x100. This is an arithmetic progression such that x5 is minus 4. If you assume that the common difference is d, the value of x6 is equal to minus 4 plus d. Similarly, the value of x9 is equal to minus 4 plus 4d. The value of x11 is minus 4 plus 6d. The value of x13 is minus 4 plus 8d. Using this equation, 2 into x6 is minus 8 plus 2d, plus 2 times x9 is minus 8 plus 8d. This is equal to x11, which is minus 4 plus 6d, plus x13, which is minus 4 plus 8d. You can cancel this and this, you can cancel this and this too. So essentially the value of 4d is equal to minus 8, or the value of d is minus 2. Therefore the value of x100, which is equal to minus 4 plus 95d, is equal to minus 4 plus minus 190, which is equal to minus 194. So the answer for this question is option A. In this question, we are told that Renu takes 15 days working 4 days per hour. So Renu is going to take how many hours? Renu will take 60 hours to finish a job. Seema takes 8 days while working 5 days per hour to complete the same task. So Seema, how many hours does she take in total? She will take 8 into 5, which is 40 hours. We don't want to compare the time that they take. So let us assume we want to compare their efficiency, that is how much work that they do every hour. So let us assume that the total work that they do, that they need to do, is the least common multiple of 60 and 40. We can assume this to be any number. If it is a multiple of 60 and 40, it becomes easy to calculate. So let us assume that this is 120 units. So in 1 hour, the amount of work done by Renu is 120 divided by 60, which is 2 units of work. The amount of work done by Seema is 120 divided by 40, which is 3 units per hour. What we are told is now both of them continue to work. This is Renu and this is Seema. Now Seema agrees to do double the number of hours per day as Renu. So if say Renu is working X hours per day, Seema is saying that she will work 2x hours per day. While Renu agrees to work double the number of days as Seema. So if Renu is working Y days, Seema will be working Y by 2 days. Renu works for 2 hours per day. So the value of X is given, this is 2. So Renu works for 2 hours per day. So Seema will work for 4 hours per day. So the total number of hours Renu works is 2 hours. Similarly, the total number of hours Seema works is every day she is working for 4 hours and she works for Y by 2 days. So the total number of hours she works is 2y hours. In 1 hour, Renu does 2 units of work. So the total work done by Renu is 2y into 2, which is 4y units. In 1 hour, Seema does 3 units of work in 1 hour. So in 2y hours, she does 6y units of work. Now the total work that is done is 4y plus 6y. This has to equal 120 units. Or the value of 10y is 120. So the value of y is 12. What are we required to calculate? We are required to calculate the number of days Seema will work. Seema works for y by 2 days. Therefore, the number of days she will work is 6. In this question, we are asked to calculate the remainder when 10 to the power 1000 is divided by 7. Now, one thing we know is 1001 is equal to 7 into 11 into 13. So 10 cube, which is equal to 1000, leaves a remainder of -1 when divided by 7. So 10 cube leaves a remainder of -1, which is basically 6 when divided by 7. So 10 to the power 99, which is equal to 10 cube whole to the power 33. This will leave a remainder of -1 to the power 33, which is equal to -1 when divided by 7. So 10 to the power 100 will leave a remainder of -10. -10 essentially is, when you are dividing it by 7, it is basically 14 minus 10, which is equal to 4. -10 you can also say is equal to -3. But we want the remainder to be positive when we are actually submitting the answer. So you keep on adding 7. -10 plus 7 is -3. -3 plus 7 is 4. So the remainder is 4. Whenever you are getting a negative remainder, say the negative remainder is -2 when divided by 7, then just add 7 to it. 7 minus 2, therefore the remainder will be 5. Anyway, the answer in this case is option B, which is 4. In this question, we are asked to calculate the sum of all the real values of k for which this equation is satisfied. To calculate this equation, one thing we need to know is what is the value of 32,768. 32,768 is equal to 32 whole cube. 32 itself is 2 to the power 5, so this is 2 to the power 15. That is something that we need to know to actually solve this question. So 1 by 8 to the power k is 8 to the power minus k into 1 by 32,768 to the power 1 by 3 is 32,768 to the power minus 1 by 3 is equal to 1 by 8, which is 8 to the power minus 1 into 32,768 to the power minus 1 by k. Now let us substitute the value that 32,768 is 2 to the power 15 and 8 is 2 cube. Once we are substituting that, this is 2 to the power minus 3k, which is 8 to the power minus k, into 2 to the power minus 5, because 32,768 is 2 to the power 15. 2 to the power 15 to the power minus 1 by 3 is 2 to the power minus 5 is equal to 2 to the power minus 3, which is 8 to the power minus 1, into 2 to the power minus 15 by k. So the left hand side is 2 to the power minus 3k minus 5. The right hand side is 2 to the power minus 3 minus 15 by k. If you are now just comparing the powers of 2, we are going to get 3k plus 5 is equal to 3 plus 15 by k. We can multiply the entire equation with k. So we are going to get 3k square. This will be 2 plus 2k minus 15 is equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation in k. The product of the roots is negative. Once the product of the roots is negative in a quadratic equation, the roots will be always real. You can also calculate the discriminant of this quadratic equation. You will figure out that the discriminant is greater than 0. In a quadratic equation which is of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, the discriminant d is b square minus 4ac. If this is greater than 0, this quadratic equation will have two real roots. In this particular case, the discriminant is greater than 0. So the sum of the roots will be minus 2 by 3. Because in this kind of a quadratic equation, the sum of the roots is minus b by a. Here, b is 2, a is 3. So the sum of the roots is minus 2 by 3. So the answer for this question is option C. In this question, we are told that for any natural number n, let a of n be the largest integer not exceeding square root of n. We are required to calculate the value of a1 plus a2 plus dot 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 till a50. What is a1? a1 will be 1. What is a2? The largest integer which is less than square root of 2 is again 1. What is a3? a3 is the largest integer which is less than square root of 3, which also is 1. What about a4? The largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 4 is 2. Similarly, a5 is 2. This will continue till a8. The largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 8 is 2. a9 is the largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 9, which is 3. Similarly, a10 is 3. This will continue till a15. The largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 15 is 3. What about a16? a16 is the largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 16, which is 4. Similarly, a17 is 4. This will continue till a24. The largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 24 is again 4. We know that 5 square is 25. So a of 25 is 5. And this will continue till a of 35. Because 6 square is 36, a of 36 is 6. This will continue till a of 48. This also is 6. 7 square is 49. So a of 49 is 7. A of 50, that is the largest integer which is less than or equal to square root of 50, is again 7. We are required to calculate the sum of all of this. There is no trick that we can use. This is just additions and multiplications. We have 3 ones. So this is 3. 2 is repeated how many times? It is repeated from 4 to 8. So it is 8 minus 4 plus 1. So this is repeated 5 times. 2 into 5 is 10. 3 is repeated how many times? It is 15 minus 9 plus 1. So this is repeated 7 times. 3 into 7 is 21. 4 is repeated how many times? 24 minus 16 plus 1 is 9. So it is repeated 9 times. This is 36. Plus 5 is repeated how many times? 35 minus 25 plus 1. So 5 is repeated 11 times. 5 into 11 is 55. Plus 6 is repeated how many times? It is 48 minus 36 plus 1, which is 13 times. So this is 13 into 6, which is 78. Plus 7 into 2, which is 14. This is the sum that we are required to calculate. 3 plus 10 plus 21 is 34. Plus 36 plus 55 is 91. Plus 14 plus 78 is 92. This is 183 plus 34, which is equal to 217. So the answer for this question is 217. In this question, we are told that in September, the incomes of 3 people, Kamal, Amal and Vimal, are in the ratio of 8:6:5. So we have Kamal, we have Amal and we have Vimal. Their ratios of income are in the ratio of 8x, 6x and 5x. Now to pay the rent of a house, Kamal paid 15%, Amal paid 12% and Vimal paid 18% of their respective salaries. So what is the amount paid by Kamal? It is 8x into 15%, which is 1.2x. Amal is 6x into 12%, which is 0.72x. And Vimal is 5x into 18%, which is 0.9x. So the total rent is 1.2x plus 0.72x plus 0.9x. This is equal to 2.82x. In October, their salaries increased. The salary of Kamal increased by 10%. So we have to multiply Kamal's old salary with 1.1 and it becomes 8.8x. The salary of Amal increased by 12%. So we have to multiply this by 1.12, which is 1 plus 12%. So Amal's salary becomes 6x into 1.12, which is 6.72x. And for Vimal, it increased by 15%. So we have to multiply it with 1 plus 15%, which is 1.15. So this becomes 5.75x. So what is their total salary now? The total salary is 8.8x plus 6.72x plus 5.75x. If you add both of them, we are going to get 12.47x. To that you add 8.8x. You are going to get 21.27x. So the percentage of total income that will be paid as house rent is 2.82 divided by 21.27 into 100. This will be approximately 13.26%, which is option B. In this question, we are told that there are 4 non-zero digits A, B, C and D. When we form all the 4-digit numbers that can be formed using A, B, C, D and add all of them up, the sum is 1,53,310 plus N. We are required to calculate the value of A plus B plus C plus D plus N. So to do that, let us first look at the number A. A can appear either in the thousands place. And how many times will it appear in the thousands place? It will appear because the last 3 digits can be B, C, D in some order. So B, C and D can be arranged in 6 ways. They can be either BCD or they can be BDC or they can be CDB or CBD or DBC or DCB. So the last 3 digits can be arranged in 6 ways. So A will be in the thousands place 6 times. And when it is in the thousands place, the total it contributes to the sum is 6 because it is there 6 times into 1000, which is the value. Whenever it is over here, it is contributing 1000 into its value, which is A. So the total that is contributed by A in the thousands place is 6000 into A. Similarly, A will be in the hundreds place 6 times. And the amount that is contributed is 6 into the place value is 100 into A. Similarly, A will be in the tens place 6 times. And it contributes 6 into 10 into A to the sum. And finally, it will contribute, it is there in the units place 6 times. And it contributes 6A. So the total that is contributed by A to the sum is 6666 into A. The total similarly that is contributed by B is 6666 into B. And the total that is contributed by C is 6666 into C. And the total that is contributed by D is 6666 into D. So the total sum of all the 4-digit numbers is 6666 into A plus B plus C plus D. This we are told is 1,53,310 plus N. Now we have to figure out what is the value of N. One thing that you can actually figure out quite easily is this number is an even number. It is a multiple of 2. Similarly, you will identify that it is even a multiple of 11 because 6666, this number is a multiple of 11. This number is a multiple of 3, this number is a multiple of 11. These are numbers that you can easily identify as the factors. So, first of all, it has to be an even number. So, the value of N will be either 1533, basically this will be 1533, 10 is allowed, it's a single digit natural number. So, it is either 153312 or 153314. Or 153316 or 153318. Only these are the possible values. It is a multiple of 3 because 6666 is a multiple of 3. So we will figure out that the sum, it is either these two because the remaining two are not multiples of 3. So it is either this or it is this. Again, it has to be a multiple of 11. If you figure it out, this is not a multiple of 11. The only possibility is this one. So the value of n is 8 and the value of a plus b plus c plus d is 1,53,318 divided by 6666, which will come to 23. So the sum of these two is 23 plus 8, which is 31. Here we are told that ABCD is a rectangle, the length of AB is given, the length of BC is given, E is the midpoint of CD, that is given. Then the length in centimeters of the radius of incircle of ADE is. So let us first draw this rectangle. This is ABCD. This is A, B, C and D. AB is 56 centimeters. BC is 45 centimeters. E is the midpoint of CD. So this is E. So this will be 28 centimeters. This is 28 centimeters. So for ADE, this is the right angle triangle ADE. AD will be 45 centimeters. So we can calculate the length of AE. The length of AE will be, using Pythagoras theorem, square root of the sum of the squares of the non-hypotenuse sides, which is 45 square plus 28 square. This is square root of 2025 plus 28 square is 784. This is equal to square root of 2809, which is 53 centimeters. So this is 53 centimeters. So what is the in radius of this right angle triangle? If you have a right angle triangle with the sides as A and B and the hypotenuse as C, the circumradius is C by 2. The in radius is A plus B minus C by 2. This is true for all right angle triangles. In this particular case, the two sides are 45 and 28 and the hypotenuse is 53. So the in radius using this formula will be 45 plus 28 minus 53 divided by 2, which is equal to 20 by 2, which is equal to 10 centimeters. So the in radius will be 10 centimeters. In this question, we are asked to calculate the area that is bounded by the inequalities. Y is greater than or equal to x plus 4. And x square plus y square plus 4x minus y is less than or equal to 0 and greater than or equal to minus 4. This is basically a straight line, because if you are looking for the regions that are bounded by curves, we will first use the equalities. So if you are looking at y is equal to x plus 4, this is a straight line. Similarly, over here we have two inequalities, but both of them represent a circle. What does that mean? This means that if you are looking at the expression that is bounded within the inequalities, which is x square plus y square plus 4 times x minus y. This is equal to x square plus 4x plus y square minus 4y. Now you can add plus 4 here and plus 4 here, but because you have added 8, you can subtract 8. So this is essentially equal to x plus 2 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square minus 8. That is the value of this expression. So what we are essentially told is that the second inequality is x plus 2 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square minus 8 is less than or equal to 0 is greater than or equal to minus 4. If you are adding 8 to all terms of this inequality, we are going to get 4 is less than or equal to x plus 2 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square is less than or equal to 8. This is part of a circle. This also is part of a circle, because we know the equation of a circle. The equation of a circle is of the form x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square is equal to r square. This is a circle with center at a comma b and the radius at r. So if you are looking at the right hand side, let us first draw the y-axis and the x-axis. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. The center of both the circles is minus 2 comma 2. It will be over here. The right hand side will be a circle. The radius of the circle is square root of 8. So it will be something like this. I think it will actually go through origin. Because you know that the distance of this point O from the origin is 8, square root of 8. So it will actually go through the origin. That is not needed, but it is an interesting thing to note. The second one is over here, which is x plus 2 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square is equal to 4. That will be a circle which will be smaller. The radius is smaller. It will be something like this. So the area that is bounded by both the curves, this side will imply that it lies outside the smaller circle. Because it is less than or equal to 8, it would imply that it is inside the larger circle. So if you are not given the line, and if you are asked to calculate what is the area that is bounded within this inequality, we have to just calculate the area which is inside the larger circle and outside the smaller circle. But because we are given a line, the equation of the line is y is x plus 4. One thing you will notice is that y is x plus 4 will pass through the center of this circle. Because if x is equal to minus 2 and y is equal to 2, it actually satisfies the given equation. So that line will be something like this. So that line is basically the diameter of both the circles. That line is passing through the center of both the circles. Now if you are asked to calculate the area for which y is greater than or equal to x plus 4, we are essentially looking for this area, this side. To calculate that, we will first calculate the area of the outer circle. Let us assume that that is C1. Let us assume that is C2. From that, subtract the area of the inner circle. Let that be C1 and then divide it by 2. Because at the end of the day, we have two concentric circles. This is one circle. This is another circle. And we have a diameter which is passing through them. And we are essentially asked to calculate this area, which will be half of the overall area which is outside the smaller circle and inside the larger circle. What is the area of the larger circle? The radius is square root of 8. So the area of the larger circle will be pi into 8. What is the area of the smaller circle? The radius is 2. So the area of the smaller circle is 4 pi. Divide this by 2. We are going to get the answer as 2 pi. So the answer for this question is option A, which is 2 pi. In this question, we are told that x is a positive real number and we are given an equation in logarithms. 4 times log x to the base 10 plus 4 times log x to the base 100 plus 8 times log x to the base 1000 is equal to 13. The greatest integer which is not exceeding x is. To solve this equation, we need to know a formula in logarithms, which is log of a to the power m to the base b to the power n is equal to m by n into log of a to the base b. A simplification of that, which will be actually used in this particular question, is log of a to the base b to the power n is 1 by n into log of a to the base b. In this particular case, 100 is 10 square, 1000 is 10 cube. So the first term is 4 times log x to the base 10 plus, because this is 100 is 10 square, this is 4 by 2 times log x to the base 10. And because 1000 is 10 cube, the third term is 8 by 3 into log of x to the base 10. This is equal to 13. If you are simplifying it, the left hand side you can take log x to the base 10 common, and this is 4 plus 4 by 2 is 2 plus 8 by 3. This is equal to 13. This is 26 by 3 into log of x to the base 10 is equal to 13. Or log x to the base 10 is equal to 3 by 2. Therefore, the value of x is 10 to the power 3 by 2, which is equal to square root of 1000. We know that the largest perfect square which is less than 1000 is 961, which is 31 square. Similarly, we know that the smallest square which is greater than 1000 is 1024, which is equal to 32 square. So this will be approximately 31.5, which will lie between 31 and 32. Therefore, the largest integer which is less than x will be equal to 31. In this question, we are told that the selling price of a product is fixed to ensure a profit of 40%. So let us assume that the cost price of a product is X. So the selling price of the product, because we are ensuring 40% profit, is 1.4x. Now, if the product had cost 40% less, what would the new cost price be? The new cost price would be 0.6x. This is 40% lesser than the actual cost price and sold for 5 rupees less. So what is the new selling price? The new selling price is 1.4x, which is the original selling price minus 5. The resulting profit is 50%. This would imply that 1.4x minus 5 is 50% more than the cost price. So that is 1.5, 1 plus 50% into 0.66, which is equal to 0.9x. So 1.4x minus 5 is 0.9x, or 0.5x is equal to 5, or the value of x is equal to 10. So the original cost price is 10, original selling price is 14. We are required to calculate the original selling price, which is equal to 14, which is option B. In this question, we are told that a glass is filled with milk. 2/3 of its content is poured out and replaced with water. So once this 2/3 is replaced, the fraction of milk becomes 1/3. If this is replaced again, if say 2/3 is replaced again, after the second time this is done, the amount of milk becomes 1/9. If this is replaced again, if 2/3 is again replaced, the amount of milk becomes 1/27. If this is replaced again, where again 2/3 is replaced with water, the amount of milk becomes 1/81. And the rest will be water. So the fraction of water after the fourth term will be 80/81. And the required ratio, final ratio of milk to water will be 1:80, which is option B. In these kind of questions, if you are told that there is a volume of can, which is V, and a fraction F is replaced with water. Now, after the first time it is replaced, the amount of milk becomes V into 1 minus F. F is a fraction. If this is replaced 2 times, the amount of milk becomes V into 1 minus F whole square. If this happens n times, the volume of milk remaining will be V into 1 minus F whole to the power n, where F is the fraction of the solution which is replaced, and V is the total volume of the solution. If you are applying just this formula, the total number of times this is done is 4 times. So the amount of milk that is remaining is V into 1 minus 2/3 whole to the power 4, which is equal to V/81. This is the amount of milk remaining. Everything else will be water. So the amount of water will be V minus V/81, which is 80 V/81. Again, the required ratio is 1:80. If you remember this formula, it will be very useful. So the answer is option B. In this question, we are told that there is a fruit seller who has 187 fruits. They consist of apples, mangoes, and oranges. So he has some apples, he has some mangoes, and he has some oranges. The ratio of the number of apples to mangoes is 5:2. So let us assume that he has 5x apples and 2x mangoes. And let us assume that the number of oranges is O. So 7x plus O is equal to 187. This is one equation. He sold 75 apples. So he sold 75 apples, and he sold 26 mangoes, and he sold half the oranges. So what is he left with? He is left with 5x minus 75 apples. He is left with 2x minus 26 mangoes, and he is left with O/2 oranges. The ratio of the unsold apples to unsold oranges, this two, is 3:2. So this would imply that 5x minus 75 divided by O/2 is equal to 3/2. Or this would imply that 5x minus 75 is equal to 3O/4. We can multiply the entire equation with 4. So we are going to get 20x minus 300 is equal to 3O. Remember that this is O, this is not 30. 7x plus O is 187. So this would imply that over here 3O will be 3 into 187, that is 561 minus 21x. We can equate these two. This is 3O, this is 3O. We can equate both of them. So this would imply that 561 minus 21x is equal to 20x minus 300, or the value of 41x is 861. So the value of x will be 21. So the number of apples initially is 105. The number of mangoes initially is 42. This is 147. So the number of oranges initially will be 40. After selling 75 apples, you are left with 30 apples. After selling 26 mangoes, you are left with 16 mangoes. After selling half of the 40 oranges, you are left with 20 oranges. So the total number of fruits he is left with is 50 plus 16 plus 20, which is 66. So the answer for this question is 66. In this question, we are told that there are two places A and B which are 45 kilometers apart and connected by a straight road. Anil goes from A to B while Sunil goes from B to A. So we have two roads like this, 2 points. This is A and B. Anil goes from A to B. Let us assume that his speed is A. Sunil goes from B to A. Let us assume that his speed is B. They cross each other at exactly 1 hour 30 minutes. So what does this tell us? Anil is going this side, Sunil is going this side. So their relative speed with respect to each other is A plus B. And the relative speed into the time it takes, which is 1.5 hours, will be the distance between them initially, which is 45 kilometers. Or what we are told is that A plus B is 30 kilometers per hour, or the value of B is 30 minus A. We are told that Anil reaches B exactly 1 hour 15 minutes after Sunil reaches A. The time taken by Sunil to reach A is 45 divided by B. The time it takes Anil to reach B is 45 divided by A. What we are told is that Anil reaches B exactly 1 hour 15 minutes after Sunil reaches A. So this plus 5 by 4 has to be equal to this. We can divide the entire equation with 5. So 9 by, and B is 30 minus A, 9 by 30 minus A plus 1 by 4 is equal to 9 by A. We can simplify this. 9 by A minus 9 by 30 minus A is equal to 1 by 4. Or this is 270 minus 18A into 4 is equal to A into 30 minus A. We can simplify this as A square minus 102A plus 10,800 is equal to 0. We can factorize this as A minus 12 into A minus 90 is equal to 0, or the value of A is equal to 12 kilometers per hour. Because A plus B is 30, we cannot have A to be equal to 90. So the speed of A is 12 kilometers per hour, which is option D. In this question, we are told that there are 4 numbers such that the average of the first 2 numbers is 1 more than the first number. The average of the first 3 numbers is 2 more than the average of the first 2 numbers. And average of the first 4 numbers is 3 more than the average of the first 3 numbers. Then the difference between the largest and the smallest numbers is. So let us assume that the 4 numbers are A, B, C and D. The average of the first 2 numbers is 1 more than the first number. So this is A plus 1. The average of the first 3 numbers is 2 more than the average of the first 2 numbers. So this is A plus 3. And the average of all the 4 numbers is 3 more than the average of the first 3 numbers. So this is A plus 6. We are essentially required to calculate the difference between D and A. If you are using this information, A plus B by 2, which is the average of the first 2 numbers, is A plus 1. Or A plus B is equal to 2A plus 2. Or the value of B is equal to A plus 2. So this is just equal to A plus 2. The average of the first 3 numbers therefore will be A plus B, which is equal to A plus 2 plus C divided by 3. This we are told is equal to A plus 3. Or 2A plus 2 plus C is equal to 3A plus 9. Or the value of C is equal to A plus 7. So this is equal to A plus 7. And the average of the first 4 numbers is A plus 2 plus A plus 7 plus D. So this is A plus 2 plus a plus 7 plus d divided by 4 is equal to a plus 6. Or if you simplify, this is 3a plus 9 plus d is equal to 4a plus 24. Or the value of d is equal to a plus 15. So the difference between d and a will be equal to 15. In this question, we are told that there is an amount which is 10,000 rupees. This was deposited in a bank A for a certain number of years at a simple interest of 5%. Let us assume that it was deposited in this bank for n years. So the simple interest will be principal, which is 10,000 into 5% into n. This is equal to 500n. So the total amount that is received will be 10,000, which is the principal, plus the simple interest, which is 500n. This was deposited in another bank B for 5 years. So this is 5 years at a simple interest of 6% per annum. Therefore, this is the simple interest that is earned on the second amount. This, we are told, is in the ratio of 10:13. That is, if 500n divided by, if this second interest is say x, 500n divided by x is in the ratio of 10 divided by 13. Or this would imply that the value of x is 650n. So this second simple interest is basically 650n. We use this equation to calculate the value of n. 6 into 5 is 30. You can divide both of these terms by 100. So this 100 gets cancelled. This 0 and this 0 gets cancelled. So essentially what we are left with is 300 plus 15n is equal to 65n, or the value of 50n is equal to 300. So the value of n is 6 years. So the answer for this question is option D. In this question, we are told that there is a shop which wants to sell a certain quantity in kilograms of grains. So let us assume that that quantity is equal to x. It sells half of this quantity, so it sells x by 2, and it sells an additional 3 kgs. So the amount it sells is x by 2 plus 3. So the amount that is remaining is x by 2 minus 3, which is basically x minus this is the amount that is remaining. Now this is the amount that is remaining. For the second customer, it again sells half of the remaining quantity. So it sells x by 2 minus 3, which is the remaining amount, divided by 2, and it gives an additional 3 kgs, so plus 3. This is the amount that is sold to the second customer. So the amount that is remaining will be whatever was remaining originally minus of this. So this is x by 2 minus 3 minus of this, which will basically come to x by 2 minus 3 divided by 2 minus 3. This is the amount that is remaining. We can simplify it because it is getting unnecessarily complex. So this is x by 4 minus 4.5. This is the amount that is remaining after selling it to the second customer. Again, they sell half of the remaining quantity. So the amount they sold is x by 2 minus 4.5 divided by 2, and they sell additional 3 kgs. And now the amount remaining is 0. So if the amount remaining is 0, this would imply that they sold the entire amount of the remaining quantity, which is x by 4 minus 4.5. This is basically the equation we have. If you solve this equation, we will get the value of x. So if you are simplifying it, this is x by 4, sorry. This will just multiply the entire equation, or we can simplify this. This is x by 4 minus 4.5 divided by 2 is equal to 3. This would imply that x by 4 minus 4.5 is equal to 6, or x by 4 is equal to 10.5, or the value of x is equal to 42 kgs. So the answer for this question is option C, which is 42. In this question, we are told that a plus b root n is the positive square root of 29 minus 12 root 5. A and B are integers where n is a natural number. We are asked to calculate the maximum value of a plus b plus n. So if you are squaring a plus b root n, we have to get 29 minus 12 root 5. So if you are expanding the left hand side, you are going to get a square plus b square n plus 2ab root n is equal to 29 minus 12 root 5. If you are comparing the rational part and the irrational part, this is the rational part of the left hand side. So a square plus b square n has to be equal to the rational part on the right hand side, which is 29. And the irrational part on the left hand side is 2ab root n. So 2ab root n has to be equal to minus 12 root 5. Or ab root n has to be equal to minus 6 root 5. If you are just squaring the second equation, you are going to get a square b square n is equal to 36 into 5, which is 180. Now b square n is over here and over here. So we can assume that b square n is equal to 180 by a square. If you are substituting b square n in the first equation, you are going to get a square plus 180 by a square is equal to 29. Or a to the power 4 minus 29a square plus 180 is equal to 0. Or a square minus 9 into a square minus 20 is equal to 0. So the value of a square is either 9 or it is equal to 20. We are told that a and b are integers. So a square cannot be equal to 20 because a cannot be square root of 20, which is an irrational number. This would imply that a square is 9. B square n is 180 by a square, and if a square is 9, b square n is equal to 20. So now we will have some cases. If b square n is equal to 20, either b square is 1, n is 20, and a square is always 9. This is one case. The second case is b square is equal to 4, n is equal to 5, and a square is equal to 9 again. Now we are required to maximize a plus b plus n. Here we know that b is plus or minus 1, a is plus or minus 3, and n is 20. So very clearly the value of a plus b plus n will be maximum over here, because on the other hand b is plus or minus 2, a is plus or minus 3, n is only 5. So a plus b plus n in this particular case will be a maximum of 10, which will be lesser than n over here. So if you are trying to maximize a plus b plus n, we have to look only at this and we can try to figure it out. If you are not sure about it, you are just going to expand 4 cases and you will have to figure out which of the 4 cases actually satisfies. Let us solve the 4 cases. The 4 cases are either b is 1 and a is minus 3, because we want a into b to be negative. A b root n is minus 6 root 5. So if a is positive, b is negative. So either b is 1, a is minus 3, or b is minus 1 and a is 3. N is equal to 20. In this particular case, n is equal to 5 and either b is 2 and a is minus 3, or b is minus 2 and a is 3, because we want a into b to be negative. So over here the value of the irrational number which whose square is 29 minus 12 root 5 will be minus 3 plus square root of 20. In this case it will be 3 minus square root of 20. Over here it will be minus 3 plus 2 root 5. Here it will be 3 minus 2 root 5. We know that the particular number is a positive square root. We are told that this is a positive square root. So it cannot be 3 minus square root of 20, because that is negative. Similarly, it cannot be 3 minus 2 square root of 5, because that also is negative. So essentially we are left with only 2 cases, either this case or this case. In this case, n is 20, b is 1, a is minus 3, and the sum of a plus b plus n is 18. In this case, n is 5, b is 2, a is minus 3, and the value of a plus b plus n will be equal to 4. We are trying to maximize, so the correct answer is 18, which is option A. In this question, we are told that the surface area of a closed rectangular box, which is inscribed in a sphere, is 846 square centimeters. So if you assume that The rectangular box, which is a cuboid, is something like this. Let the length be L, let the breadth be B, and let the height or the width be H. So the surface area is 2 times L into B plus B into H plus H into L. This is 846. Similarly, the sum of the lengths of all the edges is 144 centimeters. There are 12 edges, so you will have length which comes 4 times. This is L, this is L, this is L, and this is L. Similarly, breadth also comes 4 times. This is breadth, this also is breadth, this is also breadth, and this also is breadth. Similarly, height also comes 4 times. So basically, the length of L plus B plus H will be 144 divided by 4, which is 36. We are required to calculate the volume of the cubic sphere. So the cubic sphere, the center will coincide with that of the cuboid, and the radius will be the distance to one of the edges. Now, if you think about it, this distance, if this is R square will be L by 2 square plus B by 2 square plus H by 2 square. Because this is the center of the cuboid, this will be equal to B by 2. This over here is equal to L by 2, and this over here will be equal to H by 2. It is similar to the length of the diagonal of a cuboid. The length of the diagonal of a cuboid is square root of L square plus B square plus H square, but this will be the center point of the diagonal. So the length of the radius will be L by 2 square plus B by 2 square plus H by 2 square. That is the value of R square, which we can actually calculate. This is equal to L square plus B square plus H square divided by 4. We have the value of L plus B plus H. We have the value of 2 times LB plus BH plus HL. So we can calculate the sum of the squares of L square plus B square plus H square. We know that L plus B plus H whole square is equal to L square plus B square plus H square plus 2 times LB plus BH plus HL. This will be 36 square, which is 1296. Is equal to L square plus B square plus H square plus this is equal to 846. Or the value of L square plus B square plus H square is equal to 450. If this is equal to 450, the value of R square is equal to 450 divided by 4, or the value of R is equal to square root of 450 divided by 2. The volume of the sphere, once you know the radius, is given by the formula 4 by 3 pi r cube. In this question, we know the radius. So the volume of the sphere, which will be 4 by 3 into pi r cube, will be 4 by 3 into pi into r cube is basically r square into r. So that is square root of 450 divided by 2. This is r into r square, which is 450 divided by 4. We just have to simplify this. We can cancel 4, we can cancel 4. This is 6, this is 75. Square root of 450 is 225 into 2. So this is 75 into pi into square root of 450 is 225, which is 15 square. So this is 15 square root of 2. This is 1125 pi square root of 2. So that will be option C. In this question, we are told that Bina incurs a loss of 19% when she sells a product at 4,860 to Shyam. So for Bina, the selling price is 4860 and the loss percentage is 19%. So the cost price for Bina is selling price divided by 1 minus loss percent. That is 4860 divided by 1 minus 0.19, which is equal to 4860 divided by 0.81, which is equal to 6000. So the cost price for Bina is 6000. She sells it to Shyam. So for Shyam, the cost price is equal to the selling price of Bina, because Bina is selling it to Shyam. The cost price for Shyam is 4860. This guy sells it to somebody, he sells it to Hari, we don't know the selling price. But if Bina would have sold the product to Shyam at the purchase price of Hari, she would have obtained a profit of 17%. So what is the new selling price? What is the selling price at which Beena should have sold to get a profit of 17%? That is cost price into 1 plus profit percent. This is into 1.17, which will come to 7,020. So the purchase price of Hari is 7,020. And who did Hari purchase it from? He purchased it from Shyam. So the selling price for Shyam is 7,020. This would imply that the profit is selling price minus cost price, which is equal to 2,160, which is 2160. In this question, we are told that the coordinates of three vertices of a triangle are given. They are 1, 2, 7, 2 and 1, 10. The radius of the incircle of the triangle needs to be calculated. When you are given three vertices of a triangle, the first thing we should do is try to figure out whether it is a right angle triangle. Because if it is a right angle triangle like this, and if the non-hypotenuse sides are A and B, and if the hypotenuse is C, the in radius formula is very easy. The in radius of a right angle triangle is A plus B minus C divided by 2. Similarly, although it is not related to this particular question, the circumradius of a right angle triangle also is given by C by 2. So if you are given the three vertices, let us first try to figure out whether it is a right angle triangle. If this is the y-axis and if this is the x-axis, this will be 1, 2 and this will be 7, 2 and this will be 1, 10. So you can notice that this is actually a right angle triangle. This line is parallel to the y-axis, this line is parallel to the x-axis, and this is the hypotenuse. The length of the base is 7 minus 1, which is 6 units. The height of the triangle is 10 minus 2, which is 8 units. Therefore, the hypotenuse will be square root of 6 square plus 8 square, which is square root of 36 plus 64, which is equal to 10 units. So now we can calculate the in radius of this triangle, which will be 6 plus 8 minus 10 by 2. So the in radius is 6 plus 8 minus 10 by 2, which is equal to 2 units. So the answer for this question is 2. In this question, we are told that there is a fruit seller. He has a stock of mangoes, he has a stock of bananas, and he has a stock of apples with at least one fruit from each type. Okay. At the beginning of a day, the number of mangoes made up 40% of his stock. If you assume that the total number of fruits is x, the total number of mangoes at the start is 0.4x. That day, he sells half of the mangoes. So the number of mangoes he sold is 0.2x. He sold 96 bananas. So the number of bananas he sold is 96. And he sold 40% of the apples. So let us assume that the number of apples at the start is A. So the number of apples he sold is 0.4A. At the end of the day, he ends up selling 50% of the fruits. So the sum of all three of them, of these numbers, which represents the number of fruits he sold, is equal to half of x. That is 0.2x plus 96 plus 0.4a is equal to 0.5x. Or the value of 0.4a plus 96 is equal to 0.3x. What does this imply about x as well as with respect to a? The first thing we know is that x has to be a multiple of 10. Why should x be a multiple of 10? Because we have 0.4a plus 96 is equal to 0.3x. What is 0.4a? It represents the number of apples he sold, and 96 is an integer. So the number of apples he sold has to be an integer. It cannot be a fraction. This would imply that 0.4a plus 96 is an integer. In that case, the right hand side is 0.3x, which is 3 by 10 into x. 3 by 10 into x has to be an integer. It cannot be a fraction because 3 by 10x represents the total number of bananas and apples that he sold. The only way this will work out is if x is a multiple of 10. What can we say about a? If you're looking at a, the only thing we can say is that a has to be a multiple of 5. Why should a be a multiple of 5? Because 0.4a, which is basically equal to 2a by 5, has to be an integer. That is the number of apples that were sold on a particular day. So 2a by 5 has to be an integer So A has to be a multiple of 5. These are the two things that we can say. Now let us just multiply this equation with 10 so that we can remove the decimals. So what we are going to get is 4A plus 960 is equal to 3x. Or we can divide the entire equation with 3. X is equal to 960 divided by 3 is 320 plus 4A by 3. Now it would imply that A has to be a multiple of 5 and it has to be a multiple of 3. Because if A is not a multiple of 3, this will be a fraction. So X will be a fraction, which is not possible. X is the total number of fruits that are sold. So it has to be an integer. So what is the smallest multiple of 5 and 3? The smallest multiple of 5 and 3 is 15. So if you're trying to find out the smallest value of X, let us substitute A to be equal to 15. Then the value of X will be 320 plus 4 by 3 into 15. 4 by 3 into 15 is 20. So X will be equal to 340. So the smallest possible value of X is 340, which will happen when A is 15. Just to ensure that we didn't make any mistake, let us try to put the values and confirm that it is the case. So if the total number of fruits initially is 340, the number of mangoes will be 40% of 340, which is equal to 136. The number of bananas we don't know, but the number of apples is A, which is 15. The remaining have to be bananas, which will be equal to 340 minus 136 minus 15. This will be, I think, 189. What is the number of mangoes that are sold? Half of the mangoes were sold, which is 68. What is the number of bananas sold? 96 bananas were sold. What is the number of apples sold? 40% of the apples were sold, which will be equal to 6, which is 0.4 into 15. So the total number of fruits that are sold is 68 plus 96 plus 6, which is 170. This is exactly half of 340. So there is no contradiction. This is what I would suggest students to do when they are solving these kind of questions which involve maximizing or minimizing, so that there is no fraction also involved. Anyway, the smallest possible number of total fruits will be 340. In this question, we are told that A is greater than 10, while B is greater than or equal to C, and both B and C are less than or equal to 10. We are told that all of them are positive real numbers, and we are given one equation in A, B, and C. We are asked to find out the greatest possible value, integer value of A. So if you are looking at the equation, one formula that has to be used in this particular equation is that log of m to the power n to the base a to the power b is basically n by b log of m to the base a. That is, the power of the argument is in the numerator and the power of the base is in the denominator. A simplification for this is log of m to the base a to the power b is equal to 1 by b into log of m to the base a. So in this particular case, in the first term of the expression, 8 is the base, which is 2 cube. So the given expression will be 1 by 3 into log of a plus b to the base 2 divided by log of c to the base 2. Similarly, the second term is the base is 27, which is 3 cube. So this is 1 by 3 into log of a minus b to the base 3 divided by log of c to the base 3. Another formula that we'll use in this particular equation is log of a to the base c divided by log of b to the base c is simply equal to log of a to the base b. So over here, this is equal to 2 by 3 from the given expression. So this can be simplified to equal 1 by 3 into log of a plus b to the base c plus 1 by 3 into log of a minus b to the base c is equal to 2 by 3. You can multiply the entire equation with 3. This gets cancelled, this gets cancelled, and this will be 2. Or log of a square minus b square to the base c is equal to 2. Or a square minus b square is equal to c square, or a square is equal to b square plus c square. What we are required to calculate is the largest possible integer value of a. So to make a to be large, we have to make b and c to be large. What is the maximum possible value of b? The maximum possible value of b is 10. And the maximum possible value of c, which is less than or equal to b, will also be 10. So the maximum possible value of a square is b square, which is 100, plus c square, which is 100, which is equal to 200. So essentially what we are saying is that a square is less than or equal to 200, or a is less than or equal to square root of 200. We are looking for an integer value of a. The maximum integer value of a, which is less than or equal to square root of 200, is 14. Because remember that 14 square is equal to 196. So the answer for this question is 14. A function f maps the set of natural numbers such that f of xy is equal to f of x into f of y plus f of x plus f of y for all xy, and f of p is 1 for every prime number p. We are asked to calculate the value of f of 1,60,000. So this would imply that if you have a prime number p, the value of the function is 1. This is given to us. So what about the value of f of p square? F of p square will be equal to 1 into 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is equal to 3. Similarly, we can calculate the value of the function for every power of a prime number. So 1,60,000, let us try to do the prime factorization of 1,60,000. This is 1,60,000. This is equal to 16 into 10,000. 16 is 2 to the power 4 and 10,000 is 100 square, which is basically 10 to the power 4. So this is 2 to the power 4 into 10 to the power 4. 10 again is 2 into 5. So this is essentially equal to 2 to the power 8 into 5 to the power 4. 2 we know is a prime number, 5 we know is a prime number. So we essentially need to calculate the value of the function for the power of 8 and the power of 4 for prime numbers. So f of p to the power 4 will be equal to, because p to the power 4 is p square into p square. This is 3 into 3, which is f of x into f of y, plus 3, which is equal to 15. Similarly, f of p to the power 8, because p to the power 8 is p to the power 4 into p to the power 4, will be equal to 15 into 15. This is f of x into f of y, plus 15 plus 15. This is equal to 255. So f of 2 to the power 8 is equal to 255. F of 5 to the power 4 is equal to 15. We have calculated this. So the value of their product, that is f of 2 to the power 8 into 5 to the power 4, will be equal to, using the formula, 255 into 15 plus 255 plus 15. If you simplify this, you are going to get the answer as 4095. So the value of this question, the answer will be option A. In this question, we are told that the roots of a particular equation are alpha and beta, and we are given a equation in alpha and beta. We are told that 1 by alpha square plus 1 by beta square is 15. We are asked to calculate the value of alpha cube plus beta cube whole square. In any quadratic equation which is of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, if this has two roots, and if you assume that the roots are p and q, the sum of the roots, that is p plus q, is equal to minus b by a. And the product of the roots, that is p into q, is equal to c by a. In this particular case, the roots are alpha and beta. And so alpha plus beta is equal to minus lambda divided by 3 from this particular equation. And alpha into beta, that is alpha beta, is equal to minus 1 by 3. We are given an equation which is 1 by alpha square plus 1 by beta square is 15. If you simplify it, you are going to get alpha square plus beta square is equal to 15 times alpha square beta square. And alpha square plus beta square is essentially alpha plus beta whole square minus 2 alpha beta. This is 15 times alpha square beta square. Alpha plus beta whole square is minus lambda by 3. So this is lambda square by 9. Minus 2 alpha beta is basically minus of 2 times 1 by 3, which is plus 2 by 3, is equal to 15 into 1 by 9, that is 15 by 9. This is 15 by 9 is 5 by 3. Or from this equation, we are going to get lambda square is equal to 9. So lambda is either plus or minus 3. What we are required to calculate is alpha cube plus beta cube whole square. We know that alpha cube plus beta cube is equal to alpha plus beta into alpha square plus beta square minus alpha beta. Now alpha square plus beta square can be already calculated. Alpha square plus beta square is 15 into alpha square beta square, which is like we calculated 15 into 1 by 9. This is 5 by 3. So here we can simplify this as alpha cube plus beta cube is alpha plus beta, which is minus lambda by 3, into alpha square plus beta square is 5 by 3, minus alpha beta is 1 by 3. So minus of minus 1 by 3 is plus 1 by 3. So this is 5 by 3 plus 1 by 3 is 2. It is 6 by 3, which is 2. So this is minus 2 lambda by 3. This is the value of alpha cube plus beta cube. So the square of it will be equal to 4 lambda square divided by 9, but lambda square is 9. So this gets cancelled and the required answer is 4, which is option B. In this question, we are told that Rajesh's age was the same as the present age of Garima. The ratio of their ages is 3:2. When Garima's age becomes the same as the present age of Rajesh, the ratio of the ages of Rajesh and Garima will become what? So we have Rajesh's age and we have Garima's age. Let us assume that Garima's age is G, Rajesh's age is R. When Rajesh was Garima's age, Rajesh's age was G. This is how many years ago? This would be R minus G years ago. At that time, what is the age of Garima? If you are taking back Garima R minus G years, her age will be G minus R minus G, which is equal to 2G minus R. At that time, the ratio is given, that is this divided by this is given. G divided by 2G minus R is 3 by 2. Or 2G is equal to 6G minus 3R, or the value of 4G is equal to 3R, or the value of G by R is 3 by 4. What we are asked is when Garima's age becomes the same as the present age of Rajesh. So Garima is currently G, Rajesh is currently R. When Garima becomes Rajesh's age of R, how many years will it take? It will again take R minus G years, but this time in the future. At that time, what is the age of Rajesh? The age of Rajesh after R minus G years will be 2R minus G. And therefore, the ratio of their ages at that time will be 2R minus G divided by R, which is equal to 2 minus G by R. But we know that G by R is 3 by 4. So the required ratio is 2 minus 3 by 4, which is equal to 5 by 4. So the answer for this question is option C, which is 5:4. In this question, we are told that there are 3 circles of equal radii. They touch each other externally, and 2 other circles X and Y are drawn such that both of them touch each of the 3 previous circles. The radius of X is greater than the radius of Y. We are asked to calculate the ratio of the radius of X and Y. So let us assume that the 3 circles are like this, which have equal radii. This is the first circle, this is the second circle, and this is the third circle. Something like this. Now we have one circle which is inside these 3 circles like this, and we have one circle which is outside the 3 circles, something like this. Let us assume that these look like circles. I know that they don't look like circles, but assume that they are actually circles. Now let the radius of the equal circles be R. If you are joining, this is R and this is R, and if this is the center point of the smaller circle, it will be the center point of even the bigger circle. That is, the center of the circles X and Y will match just by symmetry. Both of them will be in the center of the 3 circles. Now, if you are joining if this point is say O, this is say A, and this is say B, and if you are joining these two and you extend it, it will meet at the edge. Now what we know is that if the radius of the bigger circle X is say capital R1, and if the radius of the smaller circle is say R2, one thing we should notice is if you are looking at the triangle ABO, this is O, this is B, and this is A. If you are looking at that one particular triangle, it will be something like this. This will be A, which is the center of both the circles. This is O, which is this point, and this is B. Now the length of OB is known. The length of OB is the radius of the equal circles, which we assumed is capital R. What is the length of AB? AB is basically the sum of the radius of both the circles, which will be R plus R2, because R2 is the smaller circle, R1 is the bigger circle. So this is R2 and this is capital R. Because if you are looking at only this circle, let us assume that this circle is C1 and this is Y. This is C1 and this is Y. Drawing this circle is actually slightly difficult. This is basically B, which is the center of the bigger circle over here. This is A, which is the center of the smaller circle, and somewhere over here will be O. It will be something like this. This is O. So essentially what we are saying is that the length of BA is equal to capital R, which is the radius of the equal circle, and this is R2 and this is R. We know that by symmetry again this will be 30 degrees. Why will this be 30 degrees? Because if you join B to this center of the circle over here, if this is say C and if you are joining this over here, if this is D, triangle BCD will be an equilateral triangle. The sides of that triangle will be 2R each. It will be an equilateral triangle. So the angle when you are joining B to A will be bisecting that 60 degrees. So this will be 30 degrees. Using that, we can calculate the value of R2 in terms of capital R. Cos 30 degrees is equal to adjacent side R divided by R plus R2. Cos 30 degrees is root 3 by 2. This would imply that R2 is equal to 2 by root 3 into capital R minus capital R. That is the value of the radius of the smaller circle. What about the radius of the bigger circle? If you are looking at the bigger circle X, the center of both the circles, the smaller circle and the bigger circle will intersect. So it will be something like this. If you are joining A to this point, let us assume that this is say P, the length of AP will be this R2 plus R plus R. So R1 will be R2, which is the radius of the smaller circle, this one, plus this is the diameter of the equal circle, which will be equal to 2R. So this is 2R plus R2, which will be essentially 2 by root 3 R plus R. So the radius of R1 by R2 is 2 by root 3 plus 1 divided by 2 by root 3 minus 1, which is equal to 2 plus root 3 divided by 2 minus root 3. You can multiply the numerator and denominator with 2 plus root 3. So this will be 2 plus root 3 whole square. And we know that if you are multiplying 2 minus root 3 with 2 plus root 3, you are going to get 2 square minus root 3 whole square, which is equal to 1. 2 plus root 3 into 2 minus root 3 is equal to 1. So if you are dividing the numerator and denominator with 2 plus root 3 whole square, the denominator becomes 1 and the numerator is 2 plus root 3 whole square, which is equal to 4 plus 3 plus 4 root 3, which is equal to 7 plus 4 root 3. So the answer for this question is option A, which is 7 plus 4 root 3 is to 1. In this question, we are told that ABCD is a trapezium. Let us assume that this is the trapezium. AB, the length is given, the length of AB is 2 units, the length of CD is given, this is 1 unit. If you extend AD and BC, they meet at a particular point. Let us assume that that point is E. So this point over here is E. What we know is that CD is parallel to AB. If you have a triangle like this, and if you are drawing a line which is parallel to the base, if this base is a P and Q and this is X and Y, if XY is parallel to PQ, it would imply that this ratio of this is say O, OX divided by OP will be equal to OY divided by OQ. More importantly, if the length of XY is half the length of PQ, that is if XY is a line which is parallel to the base and half its length, then both X and Y have to be midpoints of the lines OP and OQ. In this particular case, if you are looking at the triangle AEB, CD is parallel to AB because this is a trapezium. Similarly, the length of CD is 1 by 2 times the length of AB. This would imply that D is the midpoint of AE and C is the midpoint of BE. If you assume that the length of AD is X, the length of DE will also be X. If you assume that the length of BC is Y, the length of CE is also Y. We are given the perimeter of the trapezium ABCD. The perimeter of the trapezium ABCD is 2 plus Y plus 1 plus X. 2 plus Y plus 1 plus X is given to be 6 centimeters. So the value of X plus Y is equal to 3 centimeters. We are asked to calculate the perimeter of AEB. The perimeter of AEB is AE, which is equal to X plus X, which is 2X, plus BE, which is equal to Y plus Y, which is equal to 2Y, plus AB, which is equal to 2. 2 times X plus Y is equal to 6 plus 2, which is equal to 8 centimeters. So the perimeter is 8 centimeters, which is option A. In this question, we are told that there is a company which has 40 employees. They are listed in a certain order. So these are the 40 employees, let us assume. Let the average of the first 10 employees be A1. Let the average of the next 10 employees be A2. Let the average of the next 3 employees be A3. And let the average of the last 4 employees, the bonus that they received, be equal to A4. We are told that in the year 2022, the average bonus of the first 30 employees was 40,000. What does it mean? It means that A1 plus A2 plus A3 divided by 3 is equal to 40,000, 40K. You can multiply all of them with 10 because the total money of the first 10 employees is 10A1. Total money of the next 10 employees is 10A2. Total bonus of the next 10 employees is 10A3. Divide this by 30, you are going to get 40K, but all the 10s get cancelled because all of the number of employees in each of that particular slot is the same. All of them we have divided into 10 employees. So A1 plus A2 plus A3 is equal to 120K. Similarly, we are told that the average of the last 30 employees is 60K. So that is A2 plus A3 plus A4. So A2 plus A3 plus A4 divided by 3 is equal to 60K. Or the value of A2 plus A3 plus A4 is equal to 180K. Now what we are also told is that the first and the last 10 employees, the average together is 50K. So that would imply that A1 plus A2, A1 plus A4, sorry, this is the first 10 employees, this is the last 10 employees. A1 plus A4 divided by 2 is equal to 50K. So the total is A1 plus A2 is equal to 100K. These are the 3 equations that we have. We have 4 unknowns. So probably it is not possible for us to solve for all A1, A2, A3 and A4. But if you think about it, we can actually solve for A1 and A4. How can we do it? Because if this is the first equation and if this is the second equation, if you are doing the second equation minus the first equation, we are going to get that A4 minus A1 is equal to 60K. So this is A4 minus A1 is equal to 60K. So now we can figure out the value of A4 and A1. You can add both of them and you're going to get A4 is equal to 80K and A1 is equal to 20K. You can substitute them in any one of the 2 equations and you're going to get A2 plus A3 is equal to 100K. So essentially we can calculate the value of A1, that is the average of the first 10 employees. We can calculate the value of A2 plus A3, which is the sum of the averages of the middle 20 employees or the 10 employees in 2 slots, and A4, which is the average of the last 10 employees, which is 80K. Next year we are told that the average bonus of the first 10 employees increased by 100%. So the first 10 employees initially was A1, now it becomes 2A1. It has increased by 100%. The bonus of the last 10 employees increased by 200%. Initially it was A4, now it becomes 3A4 because it has increased by 200%. And the remaining employees was unchanged. So this remains A2 and A3. So now the new average of the 40 employees is basically 2A1 plus 3A4 plus A2 plus A3 divided by 4. A1 is 20K. 2A1 is 40K. A4 is 80K, 3A4 is 240K. A2 plus A3 is 100K. You divide this by 4, you are going to get the value is 95,000, which is 3,80,000 divided by 4. So the answer for this question is option A. In this question, we are told that Amal and Vimal together can complete a task in 150 days. So A plus V will take 150 days to complete a job. Vimal and Sunil together can complete a task in 100 days. In these kind of questions, we want to compare the efficiency of a person or the amount of work that a person does in a particular day, not the number of days they take to complete the job. So let us assume that the total work that needs to be done is the least common multiple of 150 and 100. We can assume this to be any number. If it is a multiple, then the calculations become easy. So in one day, Amal and Vimal, they do 300 units of work in 150 days. So in one day, they do 2 units of work. And Vimal plus Sunil, they do 300 units of work in 100 days. So every day, they do 3 units of work. We are told that if Amal works for 75 days, he does 75 A units of work. Vimal works for 135 days, he does 135 B units of work. And if Sunil works for 45 days, he does 45 S units of work. The total work will be done, which is 300 units. We can divide this entire equation with 15. So we are going to get 5A plus 9V plus 3S is equal to 20. Now A plus V is equal to 2 units. In one day, they do 2 units of work. So 5A plus 5V is equal to 10. So if you subtract from this, we are essentially going to get 4V plus 3S is equal to 10. But we know that V plus S is 3 units. So if you multiply this with 3, 3V plus 3S is equal to 9. Or essentially the value of V is 1. Therefore, as A plus V is 2, the value of A is also 1. As V plus S is 3, the value of S is equal to 2. Now what we are told is that Amal works alone and he works every day. So Amal will do 1 unit of work on the first day. He will do 1 unit of work on the second day. He will do 1 unit of work on the third day, 1 unit on the fourth day, 1 unit on the fifth day, and 1 unit on the sixth day. Amal, on the other hand, he does every day. Vimal works every second day. So on the first day, he doesn't work. On the second day, he does 1 unit of work. On the third day, he doesn't work. On the fourth day, he does 1 unit of work. On the fifth day, he doesn't work. On the sixth day, he does 1 unit of work. Sunil doesn't work for 2 days, and on the third day, he does work. So on the first day, no work. Second day, no work. Then 2 units of work. Fourth day, no work. Fifth day, no work. And then 2 units of work. And then this cycle repeats after every 6 days. So in 6 days, the total work done by Amal is 6, the total work done by Vimal is 3, and the total work done by Sunil is 4. So in 6 days, the total work that is done is 13 units. The total work that needs to be done is 300 units. If this cycle of 6 days repeats for 20 times, you will be done with 120 days, and the total work that will be done is 260 units. We still have 40 units of work remaining. So suppose this cycle repeats for another 3 times. So we are done with 138 days, which is 23 into 6. The total work that will be done is 23 into 13, which is equal to 299 units. We are just trying to figure out the number of days it takes. 299 is just 1 less than 300. So on the 139th day, Amal alone works, he does 1 unit of work, and the entire work of 300 units is finished. So the number of days it takes is 139 days. So the answer for this question is 139. In this question, we are asked to calculate the values of x which satisfy the inequality 1 by x plus 5 is less than or equal to 1 by 2x minus 3. This is an inequality because x plus 5 is in the denominator, x cannot be equal to minus 5 because then x plus 5 will be 0 and we'll have 0 in the denominator. Similarly, 2x minus 3 cannot be equal to 0, so x cannot be equal to 3 by 2. Now if you take both the terms to one side, 1 by x plus 5 minus 1 by 2x minus 3 is less than or equal to 0. This would imply that 2x minus 3 minus x plus 5 divided by x plus 5 into 2x minus 3 is less than or equal to 0. This would imply that x minus 8 divided by x plus 5 into 2x minus 3 is less than or equal to 0. If you multiply the numerator and denominator with x plus 5 whole square and 2x minus 3, essentially left hand side and right hand side, because we want to bring this up to the top, then this will essentially imply that x plus 5 into 2x minus 3 into x minus 8 is less than or equal to 0. The roots of this cubic equation are x is equal to minus 5, 3 by 2 and 8. So let us draw the number line, and this is minus 5, this is 3 by 2 and this is 8. If x is less than minus 5, all the three terms over here are negative, so overall the product is negative. If x lies between minus 5 and 3 by 2, only x plus 5 will be positive and the remaining 2 will be negative. So the overall product of two negative numbers will be positive. If x lies between 3 by 2 and 8, x plus 5 is positive, 2x minus 3 is positive, only x minus 8 is negative. So the overall product will be negative. If x is greater than 8, all the three terms will be positive and their product also will be positive. So for this equation to hold, either x has to be less than minus 5 or x has to lie between 3 by 2 and 8. Remember that x cannot be equal to minus 5 or 3 by 2 because they are in the denominator. So this would imply that x has to be either less than minus 5 or x has to lie between 3 by 2 and 8. In this question, we are told that Anil has invested 22,000 for 6 years and the scheme has 4% interest per annum, which is compounded half yearly. So the total amount that Anil receives at the end of 6 years is 22,000 into 1.02 whole to the power 12. Why is this the case? Because in compound interest, the amount that is received at the end of n years at a rate of interest of r% is p into 1 plus r%, which is 1 by r by 100 whole to the power n. This is true if the interest is compounded annually. But in this particular case, we are told that the interest is compounded half yearly, that is semi-annually. Every year, the interest is compounded 2 times. Now, the amount that is received will be p into 1 plus r by 2% whole to the power 2n. Whenever the interest is compounded semi-annually, we multiply the time period by 2 and we divide the rate of interest by 2. This will be the formula we will be using. So this is 22,000 into 1.02 whole to the power 12. This is the same as another person, Sunil. Now this guy invests a certain amount in the scheme for 5 years. So if you assume that the amount that he has invested is p, this is p into 1.02 whole to the power 10. This is the money that he receives at the end of 5 years. Because again we apply the same formula. 5 years, again compounded semi-annually, will become 10 time periods. The rate of interest is 4%. You divide it by 2, you are going to get 2%. But this amount, once he received it, he again invested it in another simple interest scheme which has 10% simple interest. So the amount that he receives is into 1.1. Because we know in the case of simple interest, the amount is principal into time period into rate of interest. This is the interest, to that you add the principal. This is the simple interest, this is the principal, that will be the amount that is received. Which in this particular case, because the time period is 1, this is p into 1 plus r%. R% is 10%, so you just multiply this amount that is received by 1.1. This is the equation we are going to have to solve for the value of p. You can cancel these two, this becomes 1.02 whole square. 22,000 divided by 1.1 is 20,000. So this becomes, the value of the principal is 20,000 into 1.0404, which is equal to 20,808, which is option D. In this question, we are told that there is a bus which starts at 9 a.m. and it follows a fixed route every day. One day it traveled at a constant speed of 60 km per hour and it reached its destination 3.5 hours later than its scheduled time. Let us assume that the speed it travels on a daily basis is s. Let us assume that the time it takes is t. So s into t is equal to the distance, which is equal to d. Here we are told that it traveled at 60 km per hour, so the speed is 60. Then it takes 3.5 hours into t plus 3.5 is equal to the distance. This is what we are told. Next day we are told that it traveled 2/3 of its distance, so this is 2d by 3, in 1/3 of the time taken. That is, it has traveled this in t by 3. The next 1/3 d by 3 It has traveled at 40 kilometers per hour. And it reached just on time. The first 2/3 took 2t by 3. So the next 1/3 would have taken 2t by 3. What does this mean? Here, if you are traveling at 40 kilometers per hour into the time it traveled is 2t by 3 is equal to d by 3. This is another equation we have, so we can cancel both of them. So the value of d is equal to 80t. Here we know that d is equal to s into t. Here we are told that d is equal to 80t. This would imply that s has to be equal to 80 kilometers per hour. This is the usual speed at which it travels. So 80 into t is the total distance. You can substitute it over here. This would imply that 80t is equal to 60 into t plus 3.5. You can cancel a 0. This is 4. This is 3. So the value of t you can simplify will be equal to 10.5 hours. So it is going to reach its destination. It starts at 9 a.m. It will reach 10.5 hours later, which will be 7:30 p.m., which is option A. In this question, we are told that m and n are natural numbers such that n is greater than 1 and m to the power n is 2 to the power 25 into 3 to the power 40. We are asked to calculate m minus n. So essentially what we are required to do is 2 to the power 25 into 3 to the power 40. We should combine both the terms such that the power is the same. Now you would notice that the only way this is possible is because 25 is 5 into 5 and 40 is 8 into 5. The only way this can actually be done is if this is 2 to the power 5 whole to the power 5 into 3 to the power 8 whole to the power 5, because we want the power to be the same. Another way to do it would be writing it as 2 to the power 25 into 3 to the power 40 whole to the power 1. But in this particular case, the value of n will be 1. We are told that n is greater than 1. So that is not possible. So the only way we can write it as m to the power n is if we are writing m as 2 to the power 5 into 3 to the power 8 and the value of n is whole to the power 5. So the value of n is 5 and the value of m is 2 to the power 5 is 32. 3 to the power 8 is basically 3 to the power 4 is 81. So this is 81 into 81. The second term 32 into 81 can be calculated. This is 209952. So m minus n will be 209952 minus 5, which is equal to 209947. So the answer for this question is option D. In this question, we are asked to calculate the remainder one. 3 to the power 333 is divided by 11. Now, when you are given this kind of a question, where this is just a single digit raised to a lot of a high number, and you have 11 or some number which is not a very large number, the smartest way to go about it is finding a power of this particular number, which leaves a remainder of either 1 or minus 1 when divided by this number. Then we can extend it further. For example, over here we are getting 3, which leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 11. 3 square, which is 9, which leaves a remainder of minus 2. 3 cube, which is 27. This leaves a remainder of 5 when divided by 11. 3 to the power 4 is 81. This leaves a remainder of 4 when divided by 11. And 3 to the power 5, which is 243. You will realize that 243 is 242 plus 1. And 242 is a multiple of 11. You can calculate, I think it is 22 into 11, but this is a multiple of 11. So now we'll express 3 to the power 333 as 3 to the power 330 into 3 to the power 3. The reason for that is because 3 to the power 330 is can be extended from 3 to the power 5. This is basically 3 to the power 5 whole to the power 66 into 3 cube. Now 3 to the power 5 leaves a remainder of 1 when divided by 11. So 3 to the power 330 also will leave a remainder of 1 when divided by 11, and then you are left with 3 cube, which is 27. Now what is the remainder when 27 is divided by 11? That will be 5, which is option A. In this question, we are told that x and y are real numbers such that 4x square plus 4y square minus 4xy minus 6y plus 3 is equal to 0. We are asked to calculate the value of 4x plus 5y. When you are given this kind of a question where there are two variables x and y and only one equation, there has to definitely be some sort of a trick. Especially when there are squares involved, this would essentially be the sum of two squares equaling 0. We have to just identify what the two squares are. The key to identifying the two squares is the term 4xy. So this would imply that this is of the form minus 2 into 2xy. So one of them has to be 2x and the other one has to be y, or one of them has to be 2y and the other one has to be x. If you think about it and if you see the remaining terms which involve minus 6xy plus 3, you would feel that there has to be another term which involves y. So considering all of this, we will divide this as 4x square is 2x whole square minus this 4xy term as minus 2 into 2x into y plus y square. This is basically 2x minus y whole square. You are left with 3y square minus 6y plus 3. This is 0. This, like we discussed, is equal to 2x minus y whole square. And you would notice that this is basically equal to 3 times y square minus 2y plus 1, which is essentially equal to 3 into y minus 1 whole square. So this is the sum of two perfect squares equaling 0. So both of them have to equal 0. So y is equal to 1 and 2x is equal to y, or the value of x is equal to 1 by 2. Therefore, the value of 4x plus 5y is 4 into 1 by 2 plus 5, which is equal to 7. So the answer for this question is 7. In this question, we are given an expression and we are asked to calculate the value of x. We are told that square root of x plus 6 root 2 minus square root of x minus 6 root 2 is equal to 2 root 2. So when you are getting this kind of square roots, let us first simply square the entire expression. So we are going to get x plus 6 root 2 plus x minus 6 root 2 minus 2 times square root of x plus 6 root 2 into x minus 6 root 2 will be x square minus 6 root 2 whole square, which is 72. This is equal to 2 root 2 whole square. 2 root 2 whole square is 8. You can cancel this, you can cancel this. So you are essentially going to get that 2x minus 2 times square root of x square minus 72 is equal to 8. Or x minus square root of x square minus 72 is equal to 4. Before we square again, let us separate this, because you want to eliminate all the terms which involve square roots. So we'll simplify this as x minus 4 is equal to square root of x square minus 72. We're just looking at this particular equation where we are taking square root of x square minus 72 one side and 4 to the other side. Now if you are squaring, you are going to get x square minus 8x plus 16 is equal to x square minus 72. We can cancel this too, and we are going to get 8x is equal to 16 plus 72, which is equal to 88. So the value of x is equal to 11. So the answer for this question is 11. In this question, we have P, Q, R and S. There are 4 towns and there are some roads which are connecting each one of them. You can travel from P to Q along 3 direct paths. So if this is P, in 3 direct paths, you can come to Q. And between Q and S, you can travel in 4 direct paths. So between Q and S, you can travel in 4 different paths. Similarly, between P and R, you can travel in 4 different paths. So if this is R, you can travel in 4 different paths. There is no direct path between P and S, while there are a few direct paths between Q and R. So Q and R are connected, and between R and S are also connected. But we are not given how many are connected. Let us assume that there are A direct paths from Q to R and B direct paths from R to S. One can travel from P to S via Q, okay, that is PQS. PQS can be traveled in 3 into 4, that is 12 ways. Or via R, that is PRS, that can be traveled in 4 B ways, because you can come to P to R, from P to R in 4 ways and from R to S in B ways, so total is 4B. Or via Q followed by R, so PQRS, this can be done in P to Q is 3 ways, Q to R is A ways, R to S is B ways, in exactly 62 possible ways. So the sum of all of them is 62. So 12 plus 4B plus 3AB is 62, or 3AB plus 4B is equal to 50, or B into 4 plus 3A is equal to 50. One can also travel from Q to R either directly, Q to R directly, okay, that is A, this is just QR, or via P, that is QPR. QPR is 12 because this is 3 into 4. Or via S is QSR, that is 4B. This we are told in exactly 27 possible ways. So this is equal to 27, or the value of A plus 4B is equal to 15. Okay. Then the number of direct paths between Q and R is. So we are required to calculate the value of A. What we know is that A and B are whole numbers. They are essentially natural numbers. They can't be fractions. We'll use that to calculate the answer. For example, from this question, we know that B is a factor of 50. So either B is 1, or it is 2, or it is 5, or it is 10, or it is 25, or it is 50. From this equation, we know that 4B has to be less than 15 because A plus 4B is equal to 15. 4B itself cannot be greater than 15. So if 4B is less than or equal to 15, the value of B is less than or equal to 3.75. So essentially only these two matter. So either B is 1 or B is 2. These are the only two cases. If B is 1, from this particular case, the value of A will be 11. And from this, the value of B into 4 plus 3A will be 1 into 4 plus 33 is 37. This is not equal to 50. So this case is not true. If B is equal to 2, from this question, the value of A is equal to 7 from this equation. And the value of B into 4 plus 3A will be 2 into 4 plus 21, which is actually equal to 50. So this is true. So the value of B is 2 and the value of A is 7. So the answer for this question is 7. In this question, we are told that x and y satisfy the equations modulus of x plus y is 15 and x plus modulus of y minus y is equal to 20. We are asked to calculate the value of x minus y. So here we have 4 cases. Either x is positive or negative. Similarly, either y is positive or negative. But if you think about it, we don't need to consider all the 4 cases. From the first equation, if x is negative, this equation will be because modulus of x will be minus x. The first equation would imply that y is equal to 15. And that would imply from the second case that x is equal to 20. But this is not possible. This would imply that x is positive. Similarly, from the second equation, if y is positive, then modulus of y will be equal to y. Therefore, from the second equation, x will be equal to 20. And then if you substitute it in the first equation, you are going to get 40, which is modulus of x and x, both of them, plus y is equal to 15, or y will be equal to minus 25. This is also not possible because in this case, we consider y to be positive. This would imply that y is negative. So we want x to be positive and y to be negative. If x is positive, modulus of x is x. As y is negative, modulus of y is minus y. Now you can substitute it in the equation. So we are going to get 2x plus y is equal to 15. And from the second one, you are going to get x minus 2y is equal to 20. Now you can multiply this one with 2. So you are going to get 2x minus 4y is equal to 40. You can subtract from this equation. So you are going to get 5y is equal to minus 25, or the value of y is equal to minus 5. If y is equal to minus 5, from this equation, x is equal to 10. Therefore, x minus y is 10 minus of minus 5, which is equal to 15, which is option B. In this question, we are told that there is a vessel which contained a certain amount of solution of acid and water. So let us assume that this is water and this is acid. If you assume that the amount of acid is A and the amount of water is W, when 2 liters of water is added to it, the amount of water becomes W plus 2. The new solution has 50% acid concentration. If the new solution has 50% acid concentration, the amount of water also is 50%. So the amount of water is essentially equal to the amount of acid. So let us assume to avoid having new variable, that the amount of acid initially is W plus 2. Now if 15 liters of acid is further added to this new solution. So now essentially let us remember what was told. Water 2 liters was added and then the amount of water and acid became the same. Now 15 liters of acid is further added. Therefore the amount of acid becomes W plus 17. The amount of water is W plus 2. The final solution has 80% solution of acid. So this is 80% now. And water therefore is 20%. So now we can look at the ratio of the acid to water. Acid is 80%, water is 20%. So that 80 divided by 20 is equal to W plus 17 divided by W plus 2. 80 divided by 20 is 4. So 4W plus 8 is equal to W plus 17. Or the value of 3W is equal to 9, or the value of W is equal to 3. So the initial amount of water is 3, initial amount of acid is 5. The ratio of water to acid in the original solution is therefore 3:5, which is option B. In this question, we are given an infinite series, which is 1 by 5 into 1 by 5 minus 1 by 7, plus 1 by 5 square into 1 by 5 square minus 1 by 7 square, plus 1 by 5 cube into 1 by 5 cube minus 1 by 7 cube, dot 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 till infinity. This seems like a difficult question to answer, but we need to know one formula to solve this. That formula is the sum of an infinite geometric progression. If you have a geometric progression which is of the form A, AR, AR square, AR cube and dot 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 till infinity, and if the value of R lies between 1 and minus 1, the sum of this infinite geometric progression is A divided by 1 minus R. This particular expression, we are going to divide it into two particular infinite geometric progressions. The first one is 1 by 5 into 1 by 5, which is 1 by 5 square, 1 by 5 whole square, plus 1 by 5 square into 1 by 5 square, which is 1 by 5 to the power 4, plus 1 by 5 cube into 1 by 5 cube, which is 1 by 5 to the power 6, and so on till infinity. This is clearly a geometric progression. The first term is 1 by 5 square. The common ratio is also 1 by 5 square. We will calculate its sum. The second one is if you are subtracting from this the second term and the common term, that is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7. So this is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7 minus 1 by 5 square into 1 by 7 square. So this is minus 1 by 5 into 1 by 7 whole square minus 1 by 5 cube into 1 by 7 cube. So this is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7 whole cube and so on till infinity. This also is a geometric progression. The first term is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7 and the common ratio also is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7. So if you are calculating the sum of the first geometric progression, it is 1 by 5 square, which is the first term, divided by 1 minus 1 by 5 square, which is also the common ratio. Because the sum of the geometric progression is the first term divided by 1 minus the common ratio. So this is basically 1 by 25 divided by 1 minus 1 by 25. So this is equal to 1 by 24. So this sum is equal to 1 by 24. What about the second part, which is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7 dot dot dot? That part, the first term is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7. The common ratio also is 1 by 5 into 1 by 7. So 1 minus 1 by 5 into 1 by 7. This is equal to 1 by 35 divided by 1 minus 1 by 35, which is equal to 1 by 34. So the required sum is 1 by 24 minus 1 by 34, which is equal to 34 minus 24 is 10 divided by 24 into 34. This is 5, this is 12. This is equal to 5 divided by 408. So the answer for this question is option B. In this question, we are told that there are a total of 250 students. The percentage of girls varies from 44% to 60%. So the minimum girls will be 44% of 250, which is equal to 110. And the maximum girls is 60% of 250, which is equal to 150. Now the rest of the students are boys. We are told that every student opts for either swimming or running or both. So this is basically a Venn diagram. So we'll draw the Venn diagram for boys. We'll draw the Venn diagram for girls. This is a 2-parameter Venn diagram. Every student either swims or runs or does both. So there will be 2 circles. This is swimming and this is running. For girls also you will have swimming and you will have running. What we are told is that 50% of the boys and 80% of the girls opted for swimming. So boys percentage of swimming is 50%. Girls percentage of swimming is 80%. 70% of the boys and 60% of the girls opted for running. So this is 70% of boys and 60% of girls opted for running. So what is the percentage of boys who opted for both? One is 50%, another is 70%. So the percentage which opted for both will be 20%. Why is that the case? Because we know that if you are given 2 parameters, the number of people who opted for both will be the sum of these two minus 1. That is, you know the formula that n of A union B, that is if you have 2 parameters and we are trying to calculate how many of them have done at least 1, is equal to n of A plus n of B minus n of A intersection B. What does this mean? This means that if you are trying to find out how many of them have done at least 1, you calculate the number of people who have done one task, add it to the number of people who have done the second task, and from that subtract the number of people who have done both the tasks. Another way to look at it is, if you are looking for the number of people who have done both the tasks, that is n of A intersection B. In this particular case, that is swimming and running. How many people have done both? That would be n of A, which is number of people who have done one of the tasks, let us say swimming, plus n of B, which is number of people who have done the second task, minus n of A union B, which is basically the total number of people. So this is 50% plus 70% minus 100%. So that will be 20%. Similarly, in girls also, one task is done by 80%, another task is done by 60%. The sum of both of them is 140%. From it, subtract 100%, you are going to get 40%. So the total number of people who have done both the tasks or opted for both of them will be 0.2 boys, which is 20% of boys, plus 0.4 girls. Now what do we know about B plus G? The total number of boys and girls is constant, that is 250. We just don't know the value of G. So 0.2B plus 0.4G is equal to 0.2B plus 0.2G plus 0.2G. This is 0.2 into B plus G, that is 250 into 1 by 5, which is equal to 50. So the number of people who have done both is 50 plus 0.2G. This will attain its maximum when girls are maximum. This will attain its minimum when girls are minimum. So the maximum value will be 50 into 0.2 into 150, which is 50 plus 30, which is 80. And the minimum will be 50 plus 0.2 into 110, which is 50 plus 22. This is equal to 72. So the answer will be 72, 80, which is option C. In this question, we are told that A plus B root 3 whole square is equal to 52 plus 30 root 3. We are also told that A and B are natural numbers. We are asked to calculate the value of A plus B. So we'll just expand A plus B root 3 whole square. That will be A square plus 3B square plus 2AB root 3. This we are told is equal to 52 plus 30 root 3. Now if you are comparing the natural numbers and the irrational numbers on the left hand side and right hand side, this is the irrational part of the left hand side, this is the irrational part of the right hand side. If you are comparing both of them, we will get that 2AB is equal to 30, or the product of A and B is equal to 15. Similarly, if you are comparing the rational part on the left hand side, that is A square plus 3B square, that is A square plus 3B square, we are told is equal to 52. Now if you are just looking at what are the values that A and B can take, there are only 4 possibilities. The 4 possibilities are A and B are either 1 and 15, or 3 and 5, or 5 and 3, or 15 and 1. Now clearly one of them cannot be equal to 15, because the square of 15 is 225, and A square or B square cannot be equal to 225. So we can rule out these two. And because you are asked to calculate the value of A plus B, it has to be one of these two. So you can immediately mark the answer as option B, which is 8. And you can even try to figure out which of the two options it actually is. You will figure out that if B square is 25, that is if the value of B is 5, then b square will be 25, 3b square will be 75, which is greater than 52, so it won't even be this. So it has to be only 5 comma 3. 5 square is 25 plus 3 square is 9, so this is 3 into 9, which is 27. 25 plus 27 is actually equal to 52. So this is actually the case. So the value of A is equal to 5 and the value of B is equal to 3. Like we discussed, the value of A plus B therefore has to be equal to 8, which is option B. In this question, we are told that there are 3 distinct real numbers and the average of all of them is 28. Let us assume that the 3 numbers are A, B and C such that A is less than B is less than C. If the average is 28, it would imply that the sum of the 3 numbers is 28 into 3, which is 84. This is the first equation. We are told that if the smallest number is increased by 7, then the value becomes A plus 7. And the largest number is reduced by 10, this becomes C minus 10. The order of the numbers remains unchanged. So A plus 7 is less than B is less than C minus 10. And the new arithmetic mean becomes 2 more than the middle number. What is the sum of the 3 numbers now? The sum of the 3 numbers is A plus 7 plus B plus C minus 10. And the average is you divide this by 3. This is equal to the middle number plus 2. We can simplify this to get another equation. So we are essentially getting A plus B plus C minus 3 is equal to 3 times B plus 2. Now we know that A plus B plus C is basically equal to 84. This is already known to us. So this is 84 minus 3 is equal to 3 times B plus 2, or B is equal to 25. Because 84 minus 3 is 81, divided by 3 is 27, B plus 2 is 27, so the value of B is 25. If the value of B is 25, the value of A plus C can be calculated. What is the value of A plus C? That will be 84 minus 25, which is 59. While the difference between the largest and the smallest number becomes 64. Now the largest number is C minus 10. The smallest number is A plus 7. The difference between these two we are told is now 64. So C minus 10 minus A plus 7 is equal to 64. Or C minus A is equal to 81. So we have C minus A is equal to 81. So you can calculate the value of C and A. If you are just adding both of these numbers, we are going to get the value of 2C is equal to 140, but the value of C is 70. And the value of A can be calculated, A will be minus 11. What we are required to calculate is the largest of the original set of numbers, which will be equal to 70. In this question, we are told that we have to calculate the remainder when 10 to the power 68 is divided by 13. So you will have to notice that 10 when divided by 13 leaves a remainder of 10. What is the remainder when 100, which is 10 square, is divided by 10? That will be 9 when divided by 13. I'm going to write this as mod 13, which is just a way of expressing that when 100 is divided by 13, the remainder is 9. What will happen when 1000 is divided by 13? An important fact that I think you should remember, which will help in these kind of questions, is that 1001 is actually equal to 7 into 11 into 13. 7 into 11 into 13 is 1001. So 1000 when divided by 7 leaves a remainder of 6. 1000 when divided by 11 leaves a remainder of 10. 1000 when divided by 13 leaves a remainder of 12. Essentially what we are saying is, when divided by any one of them, the remainder that 1000 leaves will be minus 1. And this 1000 is basically 10 cube. Now, if 68 was a multiple of 3, we could have easily found out the remainder when 10 to the power 68 is divided by 13. But 68 is not a multiple of 3. So we are going to write 10 to the power 68 as 10 to the power 66, because 66 is a multiple of 3, into 10 square. Now we'll first calculate the remainder when 10 to the power 66 is divided by 3. Then we'll calculate the remainder when 10 square, that is 100, is divided by 13. And then we'll multiply both of them to get the remainder when 10 to the power 68 is divided by 13. What is the remainder when 10 to the power 66 is divided by 13? we know that 10 cube when divided by 13 is leaving a remainder of minus 1. So 10 to the power 66, which is equal to 10 cube whole to the power 22. This will leave a remainder of minus 1 to the power 22. Because 10 cube is leaving a remainder of minus 1. 10 cube to the power 22 will leave a remainder of minus 1 to the power 22 when divided by 13, which will equal 1. So 10 to the power 66 when divided by 13, the remainder is 1. 10 square is 100. We know that 100 will leave a remainder of 9 when divided by 13. Therefore, 10 to the power 68 when divided by 13, the remainder will be 9, which is option C. In this question, we are told that there are 3 people. We have Sam who can finish the work in 20 days. We have Mohit who is twice as fast as Sam. So he can finish the work in 10 days. And we have Aina. Mohit works thrice as fast as Aina. So Aina can finish the job in 30 days. Normally in these kind of questions, we don't compare the time that they take to finish the job. We compare their efficiencies. So let us assume that the total work that needs to be done is the least common multiple of 20, 10 and 30. So this is LCM of 20, 10 and 30, which will be 60 units. Let us assume that the total work that needs to be done is 60 units. Sam takes 20 days to finish 60 units of work. So every day he does 3 units. Mohit takes 10 days to finish 60 units of work. So every day he does 6 units of work. Aina takes 30 days to do 60 units of work. So every day Aina does 2 units of work. Now we are told that all of them don't work on every day. The first day Sam and Mohit work. And how much work would they finish? They would finish 3 plus 6, which is equal to 9 units. The second day Sam and Aina work. And they would do 3 plus 2, which is 5 units of work. And in the third day Mohit and Aina work. Mohit and Aina in one day would finish 6 plus 2, which is 8 units of work. So in the first 3 days in this pattern, they would do 9 plus 5 plus 8, which is 22 units of work. The total work that needs to be done is 60 units. So the first 3 days, they do 22 units of work. The next 3 days, they do another 22 units of work. So total done is 44. 6 days are done. On the 7th day, Sam and Aina will work. They will do 9 units of work. So they will finish 53 units of work. On the 8th day, Sam and Aina will work. They do 5 units of work. So total is 58 units of work is done. And on the 9th day, Mohit and Aina will work and they will finish the job. So the number of days that Sam worked is, in the first 3 days, Sam worked 2 days. In the second 3 days, Sam worked 2 days. Sam also worked on the 7th day and the 8th day. So the total number of days Sam worked is 6 days. And the total work Sam would have done in these 6 days is 6 into 3 units of work, which is 3. The total work that needs to be done is 60 units. So the fraction of work done by Sam is 6 into 3 divided by 60, which is 3 by 10, which is option B. In this question, we are told that there is a circular plot of land. This is divided into 2 regions. The chord length is 10 root 3 meters and the chord subtends an angle of 120 degrees at the center. Then the area in square meters of the smaller region is. So we have a circle. Now there is a chord which subtends an angle of 120 degrees at the center. Let us assume that this is the center. We don't know the radius of the circle. Let the radius be R. This is R. This is 10 root 3. And this is 120 degrees. We are asked to calculate the area in square meters of the smaller region. So basically we are asked to calculate this area, the area of the shaded region. To calculate that, let us first calculate the radius of the circle. We can use cosine rule to calculate the radius. What is the cosine rule? If you have a triangle like this, if the lengths of the sides are A, B and C, and if the angle between these two sides is A, then the value of A square is equal to B square plus C square minus 2BC cos A. In this particular case, that will be R square plus R square minus 2 times R square into cos 120 degrees is equal to 10 root 3 whole square. What is the value of 10 root 3 whole square? That will be 300. You will notice that cos 120 is actually equal to minus 1 by 2. this is minus 2r square into minus 1 by 2. So essentially the left hand side becomes 3r square is equal to 300, or the value of the radius r is 10 meters. Now we are required to calculate the area of the smaller region. To calculate the area of the smaller region, let us first calculate the area of this sector, and from the area of the sector, let us subtract the area of the triangle. Then we'll get the area of the smaller region. What is the area of the sector? Area of the sector is pi r square, which is the area of the circle, into the angle it is subtending at the center, which is 120 degrees, divided by 360 degrees. That is the area of the sector. From that we are subtracting the area of the triangle. What is the area of the triangle? Again, in this kind of a triangle, where you are given two sides and the angle in between them, the area of the triangle can be calculated easily by using the formula half BC sin A. So in this particular case, this will be 1 by 2 r square into sine 120 degrees. So essentially what we are required to calculate is r square into pi by 3 minus root 3 by 4. R is 10 meters like we discussed. So this is equal to 100 into pi by 3 minus root 3 by 4. You can simplify it. You can write that 100 is 25 into 4. So this is equal to 25 into 4 pi by 3 minus root 3. So the answer for this question is option D. In this question, we are told that T1 is 1, T2 is minus 1, and the value of Tn is given. It is n minus 3 divided by n minus 1 into 2 of n minus 2 whenever n is greater than or equal to 3. We are asked to calculate the sum of 1 by T2 plus 1 by T4 plus 1 by T6 plus dot 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 till 1 by T 2024. This seems like a complex question. So for these kind of questions, let us first try to find out if there is a pattern that is involved. T1 is 1, T2 is minus 1. What is the value of T3? T3 will be 3 minus 3, which is 0, divided by 2 into T of 1, which is essentially equal to 0. What is T4? T4 will be equal to 4 minus 3, which is 1, divided by 4 minus 1, that is 3, into T2. This is equal to minus 1 by 3. What is the value of T5? T5 will be, essentially we'll be having T of n minus 2 in the product, so it will be 0. So at least one part of the question is very easy. All the odd numbers will be 0. Similarly, T7 will have T of 5 over here in the product, so that also will be 0. T of 9 will also be 0, and so on. Let us now look at the even numbers, which are actually more important, because in the sum we are actually asked to calculate the sum of the reciprocals of the even terms. What is T6? T6 will be 6 minus 3, which is 3, divided by 6 minus 1, which is 5, into T4. This is equal to 3 by 5 into minus 1 by 3. This is equal to minus 1 by 5. So initially we had minus 1, then we had minus 1 by 3, now we have minus 1 by 5. So probably there is some sort of a pattern. So if you are now looking at T8, that will be 8 minus 3, which is 5, divided by 8 minus 1, which is 7, into T6, and T6 is minus 1 by 5. So this is equal to 5 by 7 into minus 1 by 5, which is equal to minus 1 by 7. So now you can see the pattern. T2 is minus 1, T4 is minus 1 by 3, T6 is minus 1 by 5, T8 is minus 1 by 7, and so on. So their reciprocals will be just odd numbers. So the required sum we are asked to calculate is minus 1, minus 3, minus 5, dot 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 dot, minus 7, and dot 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 dot. Minus 1 is 1 by T2. Minus 3 is 1 by T4. Minus 5 is 1 by T6. Minus 7 is 1 by T8. What is the value of 1 by 2024? You can notice that 3 is 4 minus 1, 5 is 6 minus 1, 7 is 8 minus 1. So this will be minus 2023. Now this is the sum of the first 1012 odd numbers. So this will equal minus 1012 whole square. So the correct answer will be option A. You might be wondering how I got it very easily. The sum of the first n odd numbers is equal to n square. This will be a good revision for you to have. The sum of the first n natural numbers, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus dot 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 till n, is equal to n into n plus 1 divided by 2. the sum of the first n squares of natural numbers, that is 1 square plus 2 square plus dot 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 till n square is equal to n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 6. The sum of the first n cubes of natural numbers, 1 cube plus 2 cube plus dot 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 plus n cube is equal to n into n plus 1 divided by 2 whole square. And the formula that we used in this particular question, which is the sum of the first n odd numbers. We are not looking at the first n natural numbers. What is the first odd number? It is 1. What is the second odd number? It is 3. What is the third odd number? It is 5. What is the nth odd number? It is 2n minus 1. The sum of the first n odd numbers is equal to n square. Here we are asked to calculate the sum of the first 1012 odd numbers, which will be 1012 whole square. You have a minus in front of everything. So the correct answer is option A. Here we are required to calculate the number of distinct values of x which satisfy the equation max of x comma 2 minus min of x comma 2 is modulus of x plus 2 minus modulus of x minus 2. The right hand side contains modulus, and modulus, the inflection points are, for the first one it is minus 2 and for the second one it is 2. So there are two inflection points where the value of the modulus will change on the right hand side. So let us consider the three intervals which encompass these two inflection points. So the first case we will consider is if x is less than or equal to minus 2. The second case we will consider is when minus 2 lies between x, which lies between 2. The third case we will consider is when x is greater than or equal to 2. In the first case, when x is less than or equal to minus 2, the left hand side is very simple to calculate, because here we know that x is less than or equal to minus 2. So which of the two is greater? What is the value of max of x comma 2? That will be 2. Minus what is minimum of x and 2? We know that in this particular interval x is less than or equal to minus 2. So min of x and 2 will be x. This is the left hand side. And what is the right hand side? The right hand side is modulus of x plus 2. Here we have deduced that x is less than minus 2. So x plus 2 will be negative. So modulus of x plus 2 will be minus x minus 2. And what is x minus 2? X is less than minus 2. So x minus 2 will also be negative. So modulus of x minus 2 will be 2 minus x. So this will be minus 2 minus x. If you are simplifying the right hand side, it is minus x minus 2 plus x. You can cancel this, you can cancel this. So the value of x will be equal to 6. But in this interval, we are only looking for x to be less than or equal to minus 2. So the value of x cannot be equal to 6. So this case is a contradiction. There is no value of x in this particular interval. If you are looking at the interval where x lies between minus 2 and 2, again let us look at the left hand side. Here we are told that x lies between minus 2 and 2. So what is max of x comma 2? Max of x comma 2 is again 2. What is min of x comma 2? This will be again x, because in this interval x is actually less than 2. And what is the right hand side? X is lying between minus 2 and plus 2. So x is greater than minus 2. This would imply that x plus 2 is positive. So modulus of x plus 2 will be x plus 2, and x is less than minus 2. So modulus of x minus 2 will be minus 2 minus x. So again, if you are simplifying the right hand side, this is x plus 2 minus 2 plus x. We can cancel this 2, or the value of 3x is equal to 2, or the value of x is 2 by 3. This is a valid solution because this lies between minus 2 and 2. Let us consider the last case where x is greater than or equal to 2. If x is greater than or equal to 2, max of x comma 2 will be x, min of x comma 2 will be 2, and the right hand side both the entities will be positive. X plus 2 is positive, so modulus of x plus 2 is x plus 2. X minus 2 is positive, so minus of modulus of x minus 2 will be minus of x minus 2. This is equal to 4, or the value of x is equal to 6. This also is a valid solution because here we are looking for values of x which are greater than or equal to 2. So there are two valid solutions for this, that is 2 by 3 and 6. So the correct answer for this is 2. Here we are told that there is one guy called Aman. He invested 4,000 rupees in a particular bank. Let the rate of interest be equal to R%. So the value of the investment after 3 years becomes 4,000 into 1 plus R whole cube. divided by the value of the investment after 5 years is 4000 into 1 plus r whole to the power 5. This ratio we are told is 25 divided by 36. You can cancel 4000, 4000. What we are essentially left with is 1 plus r whole square is equal to 36 divided by 25, which is 1.44. Or the value of r is equal to 20%. Because 1 plus r will be square root of 1.44, which is 1.2. So the value of r is 0.2, or it is equal to 20%. We are required to calculate the minimum number of years it will take for the investment to cross 20,000. What is the original investment? The original investment is 4,000. The value of the investment after n years will be 4,000 into 1.2 whole to the power n. We want this to be greater than 20,000. What is the smallest value of n for which this will happen? Or we are looking for the smallest value of n for which 1.2 to the power n has to be greater than 5. You can use trial and error. To solve this kind of an equation, what I would normally do is, because I know that 1.2 whole square is 1.44. 1.2 whole cube is equal to 1.728. I would say that 1.2 whole to the power 6 is 1.728 whole square. I know that 1.7 whole square is 2.89 because 17 square is 289. So 1.728 whole square will be approximately equal to 3. Now 1.2 to the power 8 will be approximately 3 into 1.44. Because 1.2 to the power 6 is approximately 3. 1.2 to the power 8 will be 3 into 1.44, which will be approximately 4.32. Therefore, 1.2 whole to the power 9 will be 4.32 into 1.2, which is definitely greater than 5. How can I say that it is definitely greater than 5? That is because 4 into 1.2 is 4.8. Therefore, 4.32 into 1.2 will be definitely greater than 5. Because 4 into 1.2 itself is 4.8. Which is just 0.8 less than 5. This is an approximation I would use to answer this quickly. If you are not sure, or if you didn't understand this approximation to get the answer quickly, you can always use the calculator to calculate the smallest value of n for which this will happen. And the value of n for which that will happen is when n is equal to 9 over here. So the answer for this question is 9. In this question, we are asked to calculate the sum of all the distinct real values of x which satisfy the equation 10 to the power x plus 4 by 10 to the power x is 81 by 2. Let us assume that 10 to the power x is a variable capital A. So what we have over here is a plus 4 by a is equal to 81 by 2, or a square minus 81 by 2a plus 4 is equal to 0. If you assume that this quadratic equation has two roots, suppose the two roots are a1 and a2, then the product of a1 into a2 is equal to 4, this constant term, and the value of a1 plus a2 is equal to 81 by 2. But what is the value of a1? a1 is basically equal to 10 to the power x. So let us assume that a1 is equal to 10 to the power x1 for one root, and a2 is 10 to the power x2. What we are essentially told over here is that 10 to the power x1 into 10 to the power x2 is equal to 4, or the value of 10 to the power x1 plus x2 is equal to 4, or the value of x1 plus x2 is equal to log of 4 to the base 10, which is equal to 2 log 2 to the base 10, which is option A. In this question, we are told that there is a train which is traveling a certain distance at uniform speed. Let us assume that the speed is s and the time that it travels is t. So the distance that it travels is speed into time, which is equal to d. What we are told is that if the speed was 6 kilometers per hour more, if the speed is 6 kilometers per hour more, it would be s plus 6. It would have needed 4 hours lesser. So s plus 6 into t minus 4 is equal to the distance, which is s into t. Here we are going to get one equation in s and t. We are also told that if the speed is 6 kilometers per hour lesser, that is s minus 6 into it would have needed 6 hours more. So into t plus 6 is also equal to st. From this we are going to get another equation in s and t. Let us try to get those equations. The left hand side of the first equation is st plus 6t minus 4s minus 24 is equal to st. You can cancel st over here. So essentially you are left with 6t minus 4s is equal to 24. We can divide the entire equation with 2. So you are left with 3t minus 2s is equal to 12. This is the first equation. If you are simplifying the second equation, let us look at the left hand side. That will be st minus 6t plus 6s minus 36 is equal to st. Again you can cancel st over here, st over here. You are essentially left with s minus t is equal to 6. This is the second equation in s and t. This is the first equation. We have a simple linear equation. We have to solve both of them to get the value of s and t. So let us multiply this with 2. So you are going to get 2s minus 2t is equal to 12. You can add these two equations. The right hand side is 12 plus 12, which is 24. The left hand side, this 2s and this 2s gets cancelled. 3t minus 2t is t. So the value of t is 24. Therefore, the value of s, because s minus t is 6, s will be equal to 30. And therefore, the distance that the train has to cover, which is equal to s into t, will be equal to 30 into 24, which is 720. So the answer for this question is option A. In this question, we are told that 3 to the power a is 4, 4 to the power b is 5, 5 to the power c is 6, 6 to the power d is 7, 7 to the power e is 8, and 8 to the power f is 9. From the first part, you can assume that a is equal to log of 4 to the base 3. And from the second equation, you can assume that b is log 5 to the base 4. From the third one, c is equal to log 6 to the base 5. From the fourth one, d is equal to log 7 to the base 6. Next, e is equal to log 8 to the base 7. And f is equal to log 9 to the base 8. If you are multiplying all of them, you have to just multiply all of these right hand sides. Now we know that log of a to the base b is equal to log of a divided by log of b. This would imply that log of 4 to the base 3 is log of 4 divided by log of 3 into log of 5 to the base 4 is equal to log of 5 divided by log of 4 into log of 6 to the base 5 is log of 6 divided by log of 5, and so on. The last one will be f, which is log of 9 to the base 8, which is log of 9 divided by log of 8. So the numerator and denominator of many of them get cancelled, and finally you will be left with log 9 in the numerator and log 3 in the denominator. So this will equal log of 9 to the base 3, which is equal to 2. So the answer for this question is 2. In this question, we are told that Gopi marks a price of a product to make a profit of 20%. Let us assume that the cost price of this product is C. So the marked price, because it is marked up by 20%, will be equal to 1.2C. Now he gives a discount of 10%. So the selling price will be equal to the marked price, which is 1.2C, into 1 minus discount percentage. Discount percentage is 10%, so this you multiply with 0.9. Or this is equal to 1.08C. Now who bought this? Ravi bought this and he saves 15 rupees. So the difference between these two is equal to rupees 15. That is 0.12C is equal to 15. And what are we required to calculate? We are required to calculate the profit that Gopi made by selling this to Ravi. What is the profit made? Profit is equal to selling price minus cost price, which is equal to 0.08C. So we are required to calculate what is 0.08C. Now you can notice that this is 3 by 2 times this. So the answer basically will have to be 10 rupees. If you're not sure, you can just calculate the value of C. C is 15 divided by 0.12. Therefore, 0.08 C will be 0.08 into 15 divided by 0.12. Like we mentioned earlier, 8 by 12 is basically 2 by 3. So this will equal 10 rupees, which is option A. In this question, we are told that there is a container which has 300 liters. It contains some water and it contains the remaining amount as milk. If you assume that the amount of water is W, the amount of milk will be 300 minus W. This is milk and this is water. Now twice the amount of water is removed from the solution. That is, the total amount of solution that is removed is 2W. So the total amount of solution that is left in the container after this was removed is 300 minus 2W. So once this 2W is removed and it is replaced with water, what is the amount of milk that is remaining? The amount of milk that is remaining is only part of this 300 minus 2W. So the amount of milk that is remaining is 300 minus 2W divided by the total volume, which is 300, into 300 minus W. The way to look at it is, when there are 300 liters of the container, the amount of milk is 300 minus W. But now we don't have 300 liters in the container. We have only 300 minus 2W liters in the container. So the amount of milk will be 300 minus W into 300 minus 2W divided by 300. This we are told is 72% of 300. Because after this 2W is replaced with water, no additional milk is being added. Once this 2W of the solution is removed and it is replaced with water, the amount of milk remains the same. So this would imply that this has to be equal to 72% of 300, which is equal to 216. Now using this equation, we have to calculate the value of W. What is the equation? 300 minus 2W into 300 minus W divided by 300 is equal to 216. You can divide this by 2, you can divide this by 2. So we will be left with 150 minus W into 300 minus W is equal to 108 into 300. 108 into 300 is 32400. So the required equation is W square minus 450 W plus 45,000 is equal to 32,400, or W square minus 450 W plus 126 12,600 is equal to 0. This is W minus 420 into W minus 30 has to be equal to 0. So W is either 420 or W is equal to 30. But the volume of the container is 300 liters. That cannot contain 420 liters of water. So the volume of water initially is 30 liters. So the answer for this question is 30. In this question, we are given an octagon. We are told that the side of the octagon, each side is 6 centimeters. We are asked to calculate the area in square centimeters of the square ACEG. In this question, I actually felt that by telling us that this is a square, the question has suddenly become quite easy. I'll explain why. So once you draw the octagon, or if you have a rough idea of how the octagon looks, it will look something like this. This is, say, the octagon. This is A, B, C, D, E, F, G and H. We are asked to calculate the area of the square ACEG. So this is AC, CE, EG and GA. Now we are told that this is a square. You can also prove that it's a square, but once they tell us that it's a square, we just need to calculate each side of the square, because once you calculate the side of the square, area of the square is just the square of its side. AB is 6 centimeters, BC is 6 centimeters, because this is the side of an octagon. If you assume that the length of AC is say small a, the area of the square ACEG will be A square, which is what we are required to calculate. What is the interior angle of an octagon? What is this value? We know that the sum of the interior angles of a polygon of n sides, we know the formula for it. Let us just revise it once so that it will be useful in other questions also. sum of interior angles of an n-sided polygon is equal to n minus 2 into 180. In this particular case, the sum of the interior angles of an octagon will be 6 into 180. And how many sides are there in an octagon? There are 8 sides. So every angle will be equal to 6 into 180 divided by 8, which is equal to 135 degrees. So this angle is 135 degrees. Now to calculate the value of a square, we just need to use the cosine rule. What does the cosine rule say? In a triangle, if this is a triangle, if this is triangle capital A, capital B and capital C, if the 3 sides of the triangle are say B, C and A, and if this angle is say capital A square is equal to B square plus C square minus 2BC cos A. This is true for all triangles. If you know the lengths of all the 3 sides and one of the angle, this formula can be applied. So in this particular case, we know the value of 2 sides and the angle in between them. So we can calculate the value of the third side. So a square is equal to 6 square plus 6 square minus 2 into 6 into 6 into cos 135. 6 square is 36 plus 6 square is 36. So this is 72. Cos 135 degrees is equal to minus 1 by root 2. If you don't know, if you are given the value of A, which is an angle, the value of sine of A is equal to sine of 180 minus A. Similarly, the value of cos A is equal to minus of cos of 180 minus A. It is an important formula. It will be useful if you remember this. So we can say that sine of 30 degrees is equal to sine of 150 degrees. But cos of 30 degrees will be equal to minus of cos 150 degrees. Sine will not change its value. Sine A is sine of 180 minus A. Cos will change its value. Cos of A is minus of cos 180 minus A. In this particular case, cos of 135 degrees is minus of cos 45, which is minus 1 by root 2. This would imply that this will be 72 plus 36 root 2, which will be option D. In this question, we are asked to calculate the number of distinct integer solutions for the given equation. If you are looking at the equation, it is modulus of x plus y plus modulus of x minus y is 2. We are looking only for integer solutions. If x and y are integers, x plus y and x minus y, both of them will be integers. You cannot have the sum or the difference of two integers be fractions. So in this particular case, we are given the sum of two modulus is equal to 2. The only 3 cases that are possible are either the first modulus is 2 and the second modulus is 0, or the first modulus is 1 and the second modulus is 1, or the first modulus is 0 and the second modulus is 2. These are the only 3 cases that are possible. In this first case, if the first modulus is 2 and the second modulus is 0, we are saying that modulus of x minus y is 0. This would imply that x has to be equal to y. This would therefore imply that from the first case, because we want modulus of x plus y to be equal to 2, it would imply that modulus of 2x is 2 or modulus of x is 1. So x is either plus or minus 1. So here we have two solutions. Either x is 1, then y also will be 1, or x is minus 1, then y also is minus 1. In the next case, where modulus of x plus y is 0, we want x to be equal to minus y. This would imply that minus y modulus of this is equal to 2, or modulus of y is equal to 2, or y is plus or minus 1. So here either y is 1 and x is minus 1, or y is minus 1 and x is 1. Again we have two solutions here. What about the middle case? Here we are saying that modulus of x plus y is equal to 1 and modulus of x minus y is equal to 1. Here we will have 4 cases. What are the 4 cases? Either x plus y is 1 and x minus y is 1, or x plus y is 1 and x minus y is minus 1, or x plus y is minus 1 and x minus y is 1, or x plus y is minus 1 and x minus y is minus 1. For each of the 4 cases, we are going to get 4 solutions. For you to understand, we can, for example, solve this. If you are solving this, you are going to get x is 1 and y is 0. You can solve this. You are going to get x is 0 and y is 1. You can solve this. You are going to get x is 0 and y is minus 1. And you can solve this. You are going to get x is minus 1 and y is 0. These are 4 different solutions. So here we will have 4 solutions. So the total number of solutions is 2 plus 2 plus 4, which is 8. This is a slightly lengthy question. It is going to take some time, but there is no other way to actually solve it. In this question, we are given a function which is defined for all non-zero numbers x, which says that f of x plus 2 times f of 1 by x is 3x. So f of x plus 2 times f of 1 by x is equal to 3x. Now, instead of x, if you are using 1 by x, that is, if the number inside the parameter or the expression inside the parameter, instead of x, if you are replacing it with 1 by x, f of 1 by x plus 2 times f of 1 divided by 1 by x will be x. This is equal to 3 by x. Now, you add both of them. The right hand side is 3 times x plus 1 by x. The left hand side is f of x plus 2 times f of x, which is 3 times f of x, plus 2 times f of 1 by x plus f of 1 by x, which is 3 times f of 1 by x. You can divide the entire equation with 3. You are essentially going to get f of x plus f of 1 by x is equal to x plus 1 by x. From this one and this one, we can calculate the value of f of x. F of x will be equal to 3 by x minus x plus 1 by x, which is equal to 2 by x minus x. If this is equal to 3, we are told that f of x is equal to 3 and we are required to calculate the sum of all the values of x for which that is true. So 2 by x minus x is equal to 3, or you multiply the entire equation with x, you are going to get x square plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. This equation has 2 roots. And this is a quadratic equation. The sum of the 2 roots will be minus of the coefficient of x, and the product of the 2 roots will be the constant term. So if the 2 roots are, say, a and b, a plus b will be minus 3, which is minus of the coefficient of x, and a into b is minus 2. We are anyways asked to calculate the sum of the 2 values, which will be equal to minus 3. So the answer for this question is option C. In this question, we are given 2 equations and we are asked to calculate the condition between the variables p, k and a for this system of equations to have no solutions in x and y. Before we answer this question, let us try to understand systems of equations and when they will have a unique solution, when they have infinite solution, and when they will have no solution. Let us look at 2 equations. Let us assume that the first equation is a1x plus b1y is equal to c1. Let us assume that the second equation is a2x plus b2y is equal to c2. These are 2 equations in x and y. When does this have a unique solution? This will have a unique solution if a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2. What this essentially means is that these 2 equations are new equations. These equations are not related to each other. For you to understand this better, let us assume that the first equation is, say, x plus 2y is equal to 3. Now, if the second equation that is given to you is 2x plus 4y is equal to 6, we are getting no new information about x and y because the ratio of the coefficients of x and y are the same. This equation into 2 is basically this equation. If you are getting the first equation into some constant, if you are getting the second equation, you are not getting any new information about x and y. So you will not be able to solve this equation. But suppose one equation you are given is x plus 2y is equal to 3 and the second equation that you are given is, say, 2x plus 3y is equal to some number, say 8. Here the ratio of the coefficients, which is 2 divided by 1 is 2 and this is 3 divided by 2 is 3 by 2. What we are essentially saying is that the first equation into a constant is not the second equation. The second equation is a completely different equation. So the ratio of the coefficients is not the same. In that particular case, we will have a unique solution. When does this have infinite solutions? this system of equations will have infinite solutions if a1 by a2 is equal to b1 by b2 is equal to c1 by c2. Essentially what we are saying is, suppose the first equation is x plus 2y is equal to 3. Now we are just multiplying this equation with a particular constant. Like in the earlier example, we multiplied it by 2. And we are getting the equation which is 2x plus 4y is equal to 6. Here the ratio of the coefficients of x is 2. The ratio of the coefficients of y is also 2. This is 4 by 2. The ratio of the coefficients of the constant term is also 2, which is 6 by 3. And it is not a surprise because we got the second equation just by multiplying the first equation with 2. In this particular case, this will have infinite solutions. We are saying that for any value of x, we can find a value of y such that this equation is satisfied. When does this system of equations have no solution? This system of equations will have no solution if a1 by a2 is equal to b1 by b2, but this is not equal to c1 by c2. What does this mean? Suppose the first equation you have is again x plus 2y is equal to 3. We are multiplying the first equation with 2, but only on the left hand side. So we are saying that 2x plus 4y is equal to a different number. Instead of 6, we are saying, say, this is equal to 5. This system of equations will have no solution. Why is that the case? Because from the first equation, if you multiply this with 2, what we are essentially going to get is 2x plus 4y is equal to 6. But if the second equation you are given is 2x plus 4y is equal to 5, there is a contradiction over here. Because then 5 has to equal 6, which is not possible. So this is basically the information that you need to know. If you are given a system of two equations, and if the ratio of the coefficients of x and y are the same, then it will have either infinite solutions or no solution. If the ratio of the coefficients are not the same, it would imply that the two equations are completely separate equations. Both the equations are giving us two different informations, and we can find out a unique solution. Now suppose the ratio of the coefficients are the same, that is the ratio of the coefficients of x and y are the same, then you look at the ratio of the coefficients of the constant term. If the constant term also has the same ratio, it would imply that this system of equations will have infinite solution, because the second equation is essentially the first equation multiplied by some particular constant. Suppose the ratio of the constant is different, it would imply that this system of equations will have no solution, because there will be a contradiction. With this information, let us look at this particular question. Here we are told that px minus 4y is equal to 2. This is one equation, and the second equation is 3x plus ky is equal to a. Now when does this have a unique solution? This will have a unique solution if the ratio of the coefficients of x and y are not the same. So this will have unique solution if p by 3 is not equal to minus 4 by k. If p by 3 is not equal to minus 4 by k, this will have a unique solution. That is basically if pk plus 12 is not equal to 0, then it will have a unique solution. When will this have infinite solutions? This will have infinite solutions if the ratio of the coefficients of x is equal to the ratio of the coefficient of y is equal to the ratio of the constant term. Then it will have infinite solutions. When will it have no solution? It will have no solution if the ratio of the coefficients of x and y are the same. That is, p by 3 is equal to minus 4 by k, but the ratio of the constant term should be different. So this should not equal 2 by a. Here we are required to look at this particular case. So the conditions that have to match, the necessary conditions for this to happen is, first this equality should occur. That is, pk plus 12 has to be equal to 0. Next, this inequality has to occur, which would imply that 2k plus 4a should not be equal to 0, or k plus 2a should not be equal to 0. Similarly, p by 3 should not equal 2 by a. So ap should not be equal to 6, or ap minus 6 should not be equal to 0. These are the three necessary conditions that should occur for this system of equations to have no solution. Let us look at the options that are given. The first one is ap plus 6 should be equal to 0. That has nothing to do, we basically have ap minus 6 should not be equal to 0, so this is irrelevant. Option B is 2a plus k is not equal to 0. 2a plus k is not equal to 0 is one of the necessary conditions. So this will be the correct answer. Option C says ap minus 6 is equal to 0. But the necessary condition is that ap minus 6 should not be equal to 0. So this is not the answer. Option D is kp plus 12 is not equal to 0. Here we are saying kp plus 12 should be equal to 0. That is a necessary condition. So this also is not the answer. The only answer is option B. In this question, we are told that there are two people, Rajesh and Vimal. So Rajesh has 20 acres. Vimal has 30 acres. Now they are covered completely by wheat and mustard. So Rajesh will have some wheat and he will have some mustard. Vimal also will have some wheat and he will have some mustard. The cultivation of wheat and mustard in the land owned by Vimal is 5:3. So this is 5:3. So how much wheat does Vimal have in this area? That will be 5 divided by 5 plus 3, which is 8 into 30. And the mustard that Vimal has will be, because the ratio is 3, it will be 3 divided by 5 plus 3, which is 8 into 30. You can simplify this. This will be 150 divided by 8, which is 75 divided by 4, which will be 18.75. And this will therefore be equal to 11.25. We are told that the total area of cultivation of wheat and mustard is in the ratio of 11:9. What is the total area? The total area is 20 plus 30, which is equal to 50. If you are dividing 50 in the ratio of 11:9, the total wheat will be 11 divided by 11 plus 9, which is 20 into 50. And the total mustard will be 9 divided by 11 plus 9, which is 20 into 50. This will be equal to 55 by 2, which is 27.5. And this will be 45 divided by 2, which is equal to 22.5. This is the total wheat. This is the wheat with Vimal. So the wheat with Rajesh will be 27.5 minus 18.75, which will come to 1.25 plus 7.5 is 8.75. And the total amount of I think mustard with Rajesh will be the total mustard, which is 22.5 minus 11.25, which will be again equal to 11.25. Now we have to calculate this ratio. 8.75 is 7 into 1.25. 11.25 is 9 into 1.25. So you can cancel 1.25 on both sides. So the required ratio is 7:9, which is option B. This will be the answer. In this question, we are told that there is a triangle ABC and the points M, N and P are midpoints of the triangle. So let us first draw the triangle ABC. This is triangle ABC, this is A, this is B and this is C. Midpoint of AB is M, this is M. Midpoint of BC is N, so this is N, and midpoint of AC is P. So if you are joining M and P, M is the midpoint of AB, P is the midpoint of AC, so MP will be parallel to BC. That is the midpoint theorem. If you are joining the midpoints of any two sides and connecting them, that line will be parallel to the third side. Similarly, if you are joining M and N are midpoints of the two sides, so it will be parallel to AC. Similarly, if you are joining N and P, this line again is joining two midpoints, so it will be parallel to the third side, which is AB. We are also told that the area of triangle ABC is 1440. Therefore, the area of triangle MPN will be 1/4 of 1440, which will be equal to 360 centimeters square. Now, if you are given a triangle, if the sides of this triangle are say X, Y and Z, and if you are given another triangle and if all the three sides are in the same proportion, that is, if one side is say a constant k into X, the other side is another constant k into Y, and the third side is a constant k into Z, and if the area of this triangle is A, the area of the second triangle will be k square into A. In this particular case, using the midpoint theorem, we know that MP is equal to 1 by 2 into BC. Similarly, we know that PN is equal to 1 by 2 into AB. We also know that MN is equal to 1 by 2 into AC. So all the three sides are half of the respective sides of triangle ABC. Therefore, the area of MPN will be 1/4 of the area of ABC, which is equal to 360 centimeter square. Now, if you just extend it one leg further, because if you are looking at the points X, Y, and Z, they themselves are the midpoints of MP and N. So this will be X, which is the midpoint of MP. This will be Y is the midpoint of MN. This is Y and this is Z. X is formed when you are joining A to N, but X itself will be the midpoint of MP. Similarly, Y and Z will be the midpoints of the remaining two sides. So if you are joining X, Y and Z, you are getting another triangle. Now if you are comparing X, Y, Z to MPN, XZ is equal to half of MN. X and Z are the midpoints of the two sides. So this will be parallel to MN and the length of XZ will be half of the length of MN. Similarly, XY, this one will be half of PN, which is this one, and YZ will be half of MP. Therefore, the area of triangle XYZ will be 1/4 the area of triangle MPN, which we have calculated is 360 centimeter square. Therefore, the area of XYZ will be 90 centimeter square. So the answer for this question is 90. In this question, we are asked to calculate the number of all positive integers up to 500 with non-repeating digits. If you are looking for single digit numbers, the positive integers, all of them will have distinct numbers because all of them have only one digit and there will be 9 of them, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Suppose you are looking at 2 digit numbers. You have here and here. The first digit can be any one of the 9 positive integers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. One number is used. The second number can be any one of the remaining 9 numbers because now you have to include 0 also. So suppose you have 4 as the first number. The second number can be either 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. You won't include 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. So there are 9 possibilities. We are basically out of the 10 digits, we are removing the first digit, whatever is used, and we are adding essentially 0. So you will have 81 such 2 digit numbers such that the first and the second numbers are different. If you are looking for 3 digit numbers, we are only looking for numbers up to 500. So the first digit can be either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So it can be selected in 4 ways. Once one number is selected, that number cannot be used as a second digit, but we can use 0 and all the other numbers, other 8 numbers. So again, we have 9 possibilities for the second digit. Now we have used 2 digits in the first and the second digit. So the third digit can be any one of the remaining 8 numbers. So this is 4 into 9 into 8, which is 288. The total number is 9 plus 81 plus 288, which is equal to 378. In this question, we are told that after 2 successive increments, Gopal's salary became 187.5% of his initial salary. Let us assume that his initial salary is S. So after the 2 increments, his salary became S into 1.875. Now 1.875 you would know is equal to 15 by 8. The percentage salary increase in the second increment is twice that of in the first increment. So if you assume that in the first increment the percentage increase is X, the percentage increase in the second one is 2X. So essentially what we are told is that S into 1 plus X into 1 plus 2X is equal to S into 1.875. We can cancel S on both sides. So 2X square plus 3X plus 1 is equal to 15 by 8. I'm just multiplying everything with 8. 16x square plus 24x minus 7 is equal to 0. We have to factorize this. So this would be 16x square plus 28x minus 4x minus 7 is equal to 0. Or this is 4x minus 1 into 4x plus 7 is equal to 0. Or the value of x is 1 by 4, which is equal to 25%. So the first increment is 25%, the second increment is 50%. So the correct answer is option C.